one night and we just wanna party. In a fast car, a Ferrari. It's a push start, I don't need a car key. Slide on Broadway, and it's gnarly. On a late night, but I'm not tardy. Right on time for the parties and Barbies. Strolling with a chunk of green like a golf swing. Hey, 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 hey. Bottles on ice, mess around these skates. Hey, hey, hey. If I gotta say it twice, then I got nothing to say. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. Come and kiss me up, it's going down. Like a train with no brakes, I'm not slowing down. See us showing up, we're showing out. Better pack it in till they kick us out. I'm no nailing them, I'm a lunatic. It's no telling when I get loose a bit. Got my babe, my boo, she cute and shh. And they serve me straight, need no juice and shh. Hey, 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 hey. Bottles on ice, mess around these skates. Hey, hey, hey. If I gotta say it twice, then I got nothing to say. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. One night and we just wanna party. In a fast car, a Ferrari. It's a push start, I don't need a car key. Slide on Broadway, and it's gnarly. On a late night, but I'm not tardy. Right on time for the parties and Barbies. Strolling with a chunk of green like a golf swing. Hey, 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 hey. Bottles on ice, mess around these skates. Hey, hey, hey. If I gotta say it twice, then I got nothing to say. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride. Come and kiss me up, it's going down. Like a train with no brakes, I'm not slowing down. See us showing up, we're showing out. Better pack it in till they kick us out. I'm no nailing them, I'm a lunatic. It's no telling when I get loose a bit. Got my babe, my boo, she cute and shh. And they serve me straight, need no juice and shh. Hey, 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 hey. Bottles on ice, mess around these skates. Hey, hey, hey. If I gotta say it twice, then I got nothing to say. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down like I told you so. I hope you're all here for the ride. Come inside, cause it's going down tonight. Only here for one night, no lies. Come and saddle up a ride.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. What a welcome in with so many new cooters. I got to thank some people here coming in hot with some memberships, cooterships, shall I say. We've got One-Eyed Flo with 10 and Sophia Petrillo with 1. Thank you so much, you guys. I saw things blowing up. Welcome, new cooters. Welcome to Cooterville. Come on in, make yourselves comfortable, and close them legs. Make sure you close them legs. Guys and gals, good to see you all tonight. Saturday night. It's going down like a rodeo. It's going down because I told you so. Yeah, close them legs, mods. Our mods have their legs double-crossed. That's a good one, Jerry. Wasting away again in Cooterville. I don't even want to continue with what was going through my head at that moment, so I won't. Welcome in. Mike is here. Mike's coming in hot, too. Hey, retired EMT. Tammy. Miss Sherry. Good to see you. Frenchie Mom. Sailor. Lip lock no more. Oh, you look good in green, baby. Bayou Babe. Yep, you got to keep them things closed now. Hey, Nash and Huffy, Danny. All our guys and gals got their legs closed. Evelyn, RLR. Good to see y'all. Oh, I forgot I've got this thing up to pin them. I don't know how Clue got that to be transparent when she put it up. See that, Clue? Like, mine is gray behind there. And I write transparent in there, and it doesn't make it transparent. I don't know if it's because I have a Mac or what. Thank you. Who gave 5 now? Hold on, let me catch up here. Oh, Lucky, I hope you feel better. Clue did have a good live today. I agree. Cooterlicious. Yeah, absolutely. It's a word. Grits. Thank you so much for the 5 cooterships. If you guys received a cootership from either Grits, Flo, or Sophia, make sure you thank them. Good evening, Mystic Butterfly. Sandra Neal, Rackin. You can help me? All right, because it said in there to write transparent, and I did, and it didn't make it transparent. But it's fine gray, I guess. But tonight I have a couple interviews. I'm not sure if y'all have seen this other one. I know you've seen this one. But we got 2 interviews we're going to go through tonight. This is the first one. This one's on Facebook. And this is Caitlin Quisenberry, Caitlin Miller, sorry. This is Caitlin Miller of Fox 17 Nashville. And this first one is March 28th. Because I'm sure that, be careful, Crimes. Yeah, you guys got to catch Clue on replay. Because she kind of played off what we went over last night. Why do I have 2 chat boxes? What's going on here? I don't know why he's patting his armpit like that. Happy Saturday night, Cooters. Thank you, Shelby Lynn. Shelby Lynn. Happy Saturday night, Cooters. And she says, hello to all the trolls. This isn't the tilt-a-whirl, but we might be on a tilt-a-whirl afterwards. He's like, oh, he's starting it out. Oh. It's the bad shoulder, and he doesn't have a shoulder vibrator, right? The shoulder vibe. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Sane. Good to see her. She said her cooter's sealed tight. Oh, defund the green team. Thank you for subscribing. That's my little dirty reggae guy. You know, because everybody that has dreads is dirty. So he's my little dirty Rasta. Baron, I just got noked. Thank you, Baron Cooter. Baron. I love it. Thank you so much. Baron Cooter. I love it. Is that like Baron Trump? Baron Cooter. Never have I ever let my cooter open. We should play that game one night. We should get all of us together on a panel and play Never Have I Ever. Creator version. I would love to have Clue on that panel. I don't think she has a whole lot of Never Have I Evers. Wouldn't that be fun? Or what about the other one? Not Never Have I Ever, but the other one. Kill, marry, fuck, or whatever. Fuck, marry, kill. Marry, kill. What is it? Fuck, marry, kill. It's a great idea, Clue. What are you talking about? She did. She did a couple years ago. We did it too on my second channel a long time ago. Betty's barren womb. Why do you not hear the massager? True. Go Lions, Shell. Fuck, marry, kill. And you have to pick like who you would fuck, who you would marry, and who you would kill. Right? Yeah, let me show you. Clue, I was trying to get your attention today. When you were talking about Julie, I wanted to show you her fake book. I swear she's late 40s, but let's see. Someone just mentioned it, so let's look it up right quick. How do you spell her name? Julie Skolnick. It comes right up. Did she get rid of her Facebook? No, this is her right here. Julie Skolnick Shivo. Y'all, this is her. And she got mad at me. Listen, hear me out. She got mad at me because I talked about this on my live. And I was like, oh my God, that's her? I was like, what the fuck happened? Like, even from here, it doesn't look like the same woman. Well, maybe a little bit. That's January. But like, if you go through her profile pictures, that's from 2023. This one's from 2023. Hold on. Let me make it a little bit bigger. I just feel like this woman looks so different than a lot of these pictures. I was like, what? And then I said something like, oh, I said, maybe she got COVID. You know how a lot of people got COVID and just like things went haywire during COVID. And I don't mean like because they had COVID, but like a lot of people went like QAnon and like all kinds of crazy and like didn't do well being, shut in. So I don't know. It's weird, right? Like this. Yeah, this is her, y'all. This is her. And so I said that and she went off.
This was a bill that Al and I have been working to get passed since Spencer was 13 years old. But I thought the additional hours, because of the change in the law, was going into
Can you guys hear it?
January 1st, 2025. But we got great news, and I need to get this information out to anybody from New Jersey who follows me, who gets respite care, or please share this with anybody that you know in New Jersey who is eligible for respite care. This is an email Paul sent to Al and I
it's really low.
on July 17th. He said, Al and Julie, I just learned that the launch date for the added respite hours will begin August
up all the
1st.
way.
August 1st, as in like a week or so. Families are being... Show you a picture. Take a screenshot of into law at the end of June. He said, Julie, thank you for your thoughtful text message. I appreciate your kind words. And yes, I will have to edit the annual report. Truth is, this important accomplishment...
Yeah, this is her. Look.
Who in the 11th hour rescued this respite bill from going to the wayside for another 2 years. Tommy wasn't on the television show that much, but up here in New Jersey, northern New Jersey,
Major
brownstone,
filters.
which
Yeah.
Tommy and his brother own, is a cherished.
Isn't that wild though? Must be your husband.
We got surprise news this morning.
We got fantastic news. Just to give you a little background, we're raising Spencer. We're totally overwhelmed. This is going back, 10 years probably. We started pleading with Perform Care for more respite hours to give us a break so we could recharge and give Spencer the proper care and not feel burnt out and without patience. We came to find out that we were maxed out with the hours. It's 20.
So this was June 30th, 2024. They're talking about burnout. Happy Father's Day to my love. An endorsement for Jerry Spazel for sheriff.
Endorsing Jerry Spazel for sheriff of
Whatever.
Passaic County. And there's a reason for that. Many of you knew my father, Rabbi Stanley Skolnick, who served as rabbi of Temple Beth Shalom of Clifton, Passaic
I'm gonna grab
for
a pop.
35 years. When Jerry Spazel was running for sheriff back in the fall of 2001, Jerry Spazel met my father. That first meeting left a real impression on my father, which is why my mother and I both know this quick conversation they had that I'm about to read to you. It's an endorsement letter for Jerry Spazel to be elected Passaic County Sheriff. We are writing this message in honor and memory of the late Rabbi Stanley Skolnick, who served as rabbi of Temple Beth Shalom of Clifton, Passaic for 35 years. For many years, Rabbi Skolnick worked frequently with Sheriff Spazel. They first met not long after September 11th, 2001, while Jerry Spazel was campaigning for Passaic County Sheriff. Spazel wanted to assure Rabbi Skolnick that if he were elected sheriff, synagogues in Passaic County would be protected during that tumultuous time. My father, Rabbi Skolnick, in his typical desire to be fair and equitable, asked Spazel, quote, "Will mosques be equally protected if you are elected sheriff?" Without hesitation, Jerry Spazel said yes, that synagogues and mosques be equally protected under his.
Isn't this wild? She's all political. This is her younger sister? What?
Okay. I'm here with my sister Miri. I am the older sister. She is the younger sister. 2 years apart to the day. November 6th, whatever. 2 years later, November 6th. And I just spent 45 minutes talking Miri into doing a 2-minute TikTok video.
Okay, this woman seems like a different person to me. I mean, do you guys think so? This is February. She was doing TikTok. I guess she's big in the autism community on TikTok, but yeah, I thought that was pretty wild. It's her for sure. Yeah, she has a totally different demeanor. Like, what happened? I wonder what happened. I wonder if it had anything to do with burnout. Hey, Chris. Yeah, TikTok's about to go bye-bye, right? We haven't heard anything more on that. All right, let's go full screen with Sean. I'm probably going to have to boost this audio. Let's check.
A month since your son went missing. How are you feeling today?
Same as I was yesterday. Just continuing the search.
Is it loud enough?
Continue looking. I'm not going to give up.
Is it loud enough? This is the first one of two we're going to watch. It is wild. I agree. It's weird, man. And that wasn't that long ago, if you think about it. It sounds good. Hey, Fred. By the way, the Menendez is not happening in January anymore. Now it's pushed to March. I heard they're waiting for Sleepy Joe to sign something. My friend told me to delete TikTok before it goes down, and they were told by someone that's high up. Oh, really? You can still get in it, though, after it's taken down. You just can't download it. Hey, Positive Vibes Seth. How are you, Mr. Positive? Mr. Positivity. Trump gave at TikTok a 90-day extension. Really? Yeah, I'm serious about the brothers. It's pushed to March now. The new DA does not like the Menendez brothers. Is that too big? What's going on? I'm on a tilt-a-whirl. I'm on a freaking tilt-a-whirl. I don't know what's going on. And I'm on a tilt-a-whirl. Yeah, you can't see it like that. Son of a gun. All right, we're going to have to go like this then. This is the interview where Seth makes it known that he had no idea that there were any CPS calls to the Proudfoots. And I know we've talked about this lately, right? We've talked about the fact that those CPS calls didn't even start until Seth moved to Tennessee. So what gives with that, right? All right, here we go.
Seth, it's been more than a month since your son went missing. How are you feeling today?
Same as I was yesterday. Just continuing the search, continue looking. I'm not going to give up. Nobody can make me give up.
And where have you been searching? Where do you think he is?
I've been searching everywhere. I mean, anything out of that 5-mile radius that the initial search did, they covered everything there. But there's stuff elsewhere. I mean, we got a lot of territory to cover. And it being over a month, he could be anywhere currently. So I'm searching everywhere.
You, Katie, and Chris had a meeting with TBI today. Did you find out any new information?
Not that I can discuss.
Any progression that might show hope in this search?
Oh, I always have hope. Can't take that away from me.
And how confident are you that Sebastian is alive, and what do you think he's doing right now?
Pretty sure he's probably playing video games somewhere. Nobody's letting him, whoever's got him, they're not letting him see the regular news. They're not letting him surf the internet. Or else he'd know that I'm looking for him. And he'd know that he should actually be trying to get a hold of me. And that keeps me going.
Is there a strong reason to believe he may have been
Wait, what?
Not letting him see the regular news.
that Sebastian is alive, and what do you think he's doing right now?
Pretty sure he's probably playing video games somewhere. Nobody's letting him, whoever's got him, they're not letting him see the regular news.
Is this why this motherfucker doesn't want to go on mainstream TV? Is this why he doesn't want to go on nationwide news? I mean, let's face it, Nancy Grace is on the internet. She's not, she's global, but she's global to people that are online. If someone just has their TV, like regular cable, they're not going to come across Nancy Grace. Huh. That's like the most global one he's done. I've seen parents all over like Good Morning America, shit like that. Like the Petitos, man. Just some extra money for the pop. Aw, thanks, Positive Vibes, Seth. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, Court TV on, yeah, exactly. That's like a special channel. You wouldn't just like have that on like NBC News or News Nation isn't even. News Nation is a no, they're not like the major broadcasting networks. That's what I'm talking about. The main ones. ABC, CBS, NBC. Good Morning America features all the time. Today's show. Didn't Chris said he wanted to talk to the news, but only if it was something like Good Morning America? He did, Angela. Teenies, no mainstream news media. He's talking just like Janie Santana, a.k.a. Rudy Ferris's mother, the one who hid her son out for 8 years claiming he was missing in Houston.
Bing bang.
Wow. Huh. And like Dog the Bounty Hunter, you wouldn't see that. And who usually has cable TV? Right, older folks. Older folks. They're not into all the streaming apps and stuff. Body did say something about check the Associated Press, but I never heard anything beyond that. Hey, Katie. That's what I'm saying. And look at his smirk. Like he kind of has a smirk as he's saying this.
Can't take that away from me.
And how confident are you that Sebastian is alive, and what do you think he's doing right now?
Pretty sure he's probably playing video games somewhere. Nobody's letting him, whoever's got him, they're not letting him see the regular news. They're not letting him surf the internet. Or else he'd know that I'm looking for him. And he'd know that he should actually be trying to get a hold of me. And that keeps me going.
Is there strong reason to believe he may have been abducted?
I don't know if he's been abducted or if he's just, over at a friend's house. Never know. But I'll...
What? I don't know if he's been abducted, but maybe he's just over at a friend's house. Fuck does that mean? Does this sound like a worried father? March 28th? He's been gone over a month.
Over at a friend's house. Never know. But I'll know when I find him. I'll know exactly what has happened to him.
And other news outlets were reporting that there were lights seen in the...
Okay. I don't know if I should say what I'm thinking. He went out on disability 4 or 5. But then they said he wanted friends so bad. But maybe he's over to friend's house. Could he be hinting to kids in the neighborhood? Did he have friends in the neighborhood or so-called maybe Sebastian thought they were his friends? And that's why the focus on friends? I don't know. Maybe over at a friend's house. Almost like, was he tricked to think that somebody was his friend and they weren't? Do you know what I'm saying? You're thinking Seth's friends? Like,
over at a friend's house. Never know. But I'll know when I find him. I'll know exactly what has happened to him.
And other news outlets were reporting that there were lights seen in the backyard that were caught on camera by a neighbor's video. Is that true?
No. What that was a trash truck.
okay. Look at the eyebrows up. Look at the eyebrows up. He's really wanting you to believe what he's saying. I don't care what y'all say. Fight me. He wants you to believe what he's saying right now. He's wide ass open. He's wide ass open, and he is really wanting her to believe this.
Bring it all in.
Watch again.
And other news outlets were reporting that there were lights seen in the backyard that were caught on camera by a neighbor's video. Is that true?
No. What that was a trash truck. Went through, picked up trash, and when it left, of course it went faster. It didn't have to stop to pick up trash. That's just false information provided by a particular person.
Shelby, thank you again. I honestly think we need to go over all of Taco's stuff. We probably do. Thank you for your super chat. This does not get more relaxed than this. Now he's swaying. I know a lot of you are saying Chris Watts. Chris Watts. It's wild, isn't it? This is a month. Your son's been missing a whole month.
Did the dogs ever pick up a scent for Sebastian?
From my information that I've been given, no.
What?
Did they find anything on Sebastian's cell phone that would...
What information that you've been given? We all heard the dispatch. There was a scent. It just didn't lead them to Sebastian.
They didn't have to stop to pick up trash. That's just false information provided by a particular person.
Nick Barris.
Did the dogs ever pick up a scent for Sebastian?
From my information that I've been given, no.
Did they find anything on Sebastian's cell phone that would, you know, kind of show that he was going to run away or where he might be?
Not that I know of. He didn't have any internet access or anything on there. He'd have been able to call, text, take a picture, send a picture, use the calculator. That's about it.
Was Sebastian in school on Friday, the day before he went missing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you, Chris, or Katie, or any of you suspects in this case?
No, we're not.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. He just left the TBI. He got to see Katie. I think he went on to Pascal's. Wasn't that the night he also went on Pascal's and he was all giddy? He was all giddy because he got to see Katie that day. But yeah, the confidence, the chill, he was just with the TBI.
Have you been cleared?
I don't know if the investigation is still ongoing. We wouldn't be cleared until the investigation's done. But currently...
Then why were you asking everyone to help clear you? Help clear Seth Rogers. Help clear Seth Rogers. Why was Betty up at the frickin' sheriff's department with picket signs trying to clear your ass? If you're saying right here on March 28th that no one's going to get cleared until the investigation's done.
Have you been cleared?
I don't know if the investigation is still ongoing. We wouldn't be cleared until the investigation's done. But currently, from my understanding, they don't have any information that would attach us to any wrongdoing.
CPS has gone to Katie's house before. You didn't know about that until this investigation. How does that make you feel?
That somebody somewhere dropped the ball because I was never informed. And I'm the biological father. I have joint legal, joint physical custody. Somebody dropped the ball and didn't reach out and inform the father, which is me. And I don't understand why the state dropped the ball on that one.
And how did you find out about CPS?
Podcast.
And I mean, how does that concern you, especially with this case, that they might have done something to cause him to run away?
I don't know what that really means, but I just know that I don't have all the information.
Is there an official timeline? And I know people, there was, we went to bed at this hour, but does TBI or anyone have an official timeline as to the series?
I'm pretty sure they do, but I'm not involved in the investigation, so I wouldn't have it.
Have the three of you been in contact every day like you were several weeks ago about this?
I was in contact with both Kitty and Chris today, but I've heard he said his phone is open and available. So is mine. You can leave a voicemail. Like 7 or 8 people have already left me voicemails today. I'm going.
What?
I get people calling me while I'm on the phone, and it's like, I can't just sit there and answer the phone for everybody. If I did that, I probably wouldn't be able to get out of my house.
What is he talking about? See that vehicle in the background? See that SUV? Does that look familiar? I hope not. That's not an Infinity, is it?
There's been a lot of criticism over this investigation. I'm sure you've received criticism as well as the Proudfoots. How does that make you feel in a time where you're just trying to find your son?
People are being, well, that goes back to those keyboard warriors I talked about on the first interview that you and I had. They're still at it. They'll never stop. There's cowards in this world, and then there's people who are go-getters. My feet, they're on the ground.
It's not an infinity. Chris, this dude seems so shady to me. I can't put my finger on it, but he does. He laughed. They're making a big deal about the Proudfoots doing that. Austin, I understand that. I just asked. My feet are on the ground. Yep, the shirt says the 25th. Yes, it does. Yeah, I was going to ask.
Leave the ground.
Clue, where is this? I see like a highway sign up here.
I'm going to find my son. Period.
And plans, today on moving forward, any more resources being used on this investigation, or anything you have to say about that?
The United Cajun Navy is currently sitting down there right now at 90 Volunteer Drive in Hendersonville. 10:30. That's when volunteers need to show up. 10:30. Show up, have your ID, sign the paperwork, and they send people out in teams. When you show up, there ain't nobody there except for a couple people. That's because they've already sent teams out. They're just going to keep sending teams out until we find my son.
Why does this white truck keep driving through? It's the same truck driving through. I don't know. It doesn't say where they are. One-on-one interview. After the mother, father, and stepfather met with TBI today, Seth expresses some concerns after he recently found out DCS was called to the Proudfoots' home in the past. Chris Proudfoot confirms this, but says all cases with DCS are closed except for the missing child case.
Have there been a lot of volunteers coming out to help find Sebastian?
Today there was, and I want to thank everybody who did come out. We're seeing an increase, and we're going to continue to see an increase.
Was the Cajun Navy still there?
To volunteer, and then we'll hit other states.
Get the whole state of Tennessee to volunteer, and then we'll hit other states. Was the Cajun Navy still there on March 28th? Because I thought March 24th was when the shit went down with the Cajun Navy, the threats. Amy, thank you. Jay, the white truck was stopped talking to someone in the other vehicle that's just sitting there. Choo Choo says kind of looks like the Rockland area. Was this the Rudder? He named a place just down the street where the UCN was. Yeah, that was at Strike and Spare, I think. Is that the same white truck as the Texas Roadhouse? He said they were right there. Joanne, I didn't. Okay, hold on, Potato.
You're Sebastian's father. Tell me, what is Sebastian?
Let me go back a minute.
On moving forward, any more resources being used on this investigation, or anything you have to say about that?
The United Cajun Navy is currently sitting down there right now at 90 Volunteer Drive in Hendersonville. 10:30. That's when volunteers need to show up. 10:30. Show up, have your ID, sign the paperwork, and they send people out in teams. When you show up, there ain't nobody there except for a couple people. That's because they've already sent teams out. They're just going to keep sending teams out until we find my son.
Have there been a lot of volunteers coming out to help find Sebastian?
Today there was, and I want to thank everybody who did come out. We're seeing an increase, and we're going to continue to see an increase. I'd like the whole state of Tennessee to volunteer, and then we'll hit other states.
And you're Sebastian's father. Tell me, what is Sebastian like?
He's a unique child, all right? It's really hard to describe my son. I mean, besides being unique, whether he's up to no good or he's up to good, he's just got that uniqueness about him. It's really hard to describe. I mean, he's my mini me. If he has a goal, he's going to accomplish that goal. You know, people at school, they liked him. All the kids are wanting to know when he's going to come back. They want to help and volunteer. Teachers are they're putting out prayers every day. You know, everybody, it's coming up. It's Easter. I'm hoping for an Easter miracle. You know, I could definitely use it in my life right now.
And why did they search the landfill?
I have no idea. They didn't, not part of the investigation. They're not going to tell me stuff. I am emotionally attached, as any parent should be.
And how often do you meet with TBI?
If I call them all the time. Call, text, hey, any new news? They either let me know or they let me know.
What?
With TBI.
If I call them all the time. Call, text, hey, any new news? They either let me.
Look at that Mercedes. Look at that Mercedes going by.
No.
He did say past tense. They liked him. Everyone at school, they liked him.
Or they let me know.
Are you happy with the work that all these agencies have done, or do you think there needs to be more?
There could probably always be more. We just got to figure out what more is necessary. Am I happy with them? I'm not unhappy. But you asked me that after my son's back, and it's going to be, I'm happy. All right? Because in law enforcement, it's always goal-oriented, you know? Go to work, put a smile on your face, get the job done. I know that they're putting their effort, 150% effort into this. And I appreciate that. And I'm hoping it will pay off with fruition.
Do you think Katie and Chris...
It'll pay off with what? Fruition? They're putting 150% effort into this. We're over a month in.
50% effort into this. And I appreciate that. And I'm hoping it will pay off with fruition.
Do you think Katie
Fruition.
and Chris are suspects?
I have no idea.
Sebastian's been missing for more than a...
Do you think Chris and Katie are suspects? I have no idea.
Hoping it will pay off with fruition.
Do you think Katie and Chris are suspects?
I have no idea.
Sebastian's been missing for more than a month now. What keeps you getting up every morning, going out and searching for him?
Being a dad, having perseverance, wanting him to come home, wanting to watch him finish growing up.
Do you wear this every day? Talk to me about this shirt.
Look,
This right here.
this right here has the wrong date on it. Last seen 2/25/24. Why? Why does he insist that it was 2/25/24? I mean, that is the question I would love to ask Seth. Why do you insist on putting the wrong date out there? Right? I mean, we all know what day he was last seen, right? The TBI put it out on the day he went missing. And we just went over this last night. But let's take a listen. Why is he choosing to ignore the facts? And why throw that on a shirt? Hey, PJ. Because that's when Katie last saw him, right? So he's trying to put it on her, because why would you change the date? If the cops told you he was seen, why would you change it? That's what I'm wondering. Take a look at what I'm talking about here. This is from last night. Actually, listen to this first. Listen to this first. This report was on February the 27th. This news report right here.
Well, Neil, TBI, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, Nashville Fire, Shackle Island Fire, as well as Sumner County Sheriff's Office, all coming together to help find 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers. Like you said, he has been missing for over 24 hours, as they last seen him walking out of his house around midnight. Now,
last saw him walking out of his house around midnight.
Sebastian is 5'5" and weighs 120 pounds with dirty blonde hair. He's most likely wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and glasses. The TBI did issue an endangered child alert. They believe he
Have a good night, Seth. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, buddy.
Walked out of his house and is unable to find his way back without help because he's autistic, which is why they are concerned for his safety. Officials
Did you hear that? Like, where'd they get that briefing?
Of his house and is unable to find his way shirt, black sweatpants, and glasses. The TBI did issue an endangered child alert. They believe he walked out of his house and is unable to find his way back without help because he's autistic, which is why they are concerned for his safety.
He walked out of his house, and they're worried he can't find his way back.
Officials say Sebastian likes to get into small spaces and hide under his bed. So for those who live within 3 miles of the search area around Beach High School along Long Hollow Pike, you may want to check outbuildings, garages, cars, and under desks in case Sebastian used any of those as hiding places. Sumner County Sheriff's Office says that's the best way to help them out at this time. If you do see Sebastian, you're asked to call the Sumner County Sheriff.
He was seen earlier today near Stafford Court in Hendersonville, wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and glasses.
Somebody saw him. I'm telling you guys.
They had to see his glasses?
Like, it has always just felt like either they saw him on a video or someone saw him on the 26th. There is no other way.
Yes, this is an authentic TBI post, straight from their Twitter.
I retweeted it.
Yep, Carl, you found us. Welcome to Cooterville.
Didn't Katie initially on the dispatch audio, she gave a little bit different description of a slightly different description. It was still black, but like of what he was wearing.
They didn't put out what she said, because if you listen to her, she describes what she said on all the interviews. Black shirt with a print and black pants with white stripes on them. So they posted this at 11:17 a.m.
On the 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the most likely scenario is somebody saw him, right? That way nothing they've said is untrue, but they also haven't said what they know.
Right.
Well,
And the other thing I would take from that is for them to not describe where he was seen kind of tells me that there is more to the story.
Bing bong, right there. They're not describing where he was seen.
Bing bong.
Right? But it is concerning. I mean, I am going to hang on to the fact that Seth Rogers wants everybody to think that he was last seen on the 25th when he wasn't. Unless they haven't told him that they actually have footage of him. Because Seth said the last proof of life was taking out the trash, right? In the area of Stafford Court. That is the reason CP and KP state they don't know why he walked out that door.
I do kind of agree with that, but it also could be that they saw him on a neighbor's camera, right? Because at 7-something in the morning, you can hear them saying nothing on the ring cam. So they're obviously in the neighborhood
Looking.
Well,
Correct.
The question would be, what had they covered by 11:30? By the time they made that post, what had they gotten?
Exactly. And that's where in this video I get to the point of the dispatch audio, and you have to listen to that and try to put. This was from last night, Snowflakes. That's the video I just played if you guys want to watch it later. All right, let's go back. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it's to put it on Katie 100% because he's denying the facts. Why would you deny the facts? Doesn't make any sense, right? Oh, Sherry, thank you for the PayPal. You're so sweet, Sherry. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. All right, let's get back to Seth. This one's almost over. Then we're going to move into another interview that might be interesting to hear the deets of, because I don't know if everybody's seen it. All right, here we go.
Home billboard to find my son. People notice people. People notice what people are wearing. So I am a walking handout. I have these in my car.
Have you
See, and it changes the whole narrative. Okay, so he's a walking billboard. Let's say someone comes up to him and says, "Oh my God, your son is missing? He was last seen on the 25th. Where at?" "Oh, at the Roadhouse. I got proof of life him at the Roadhouse." That's not where he was last seen. Eddie, I got to get my Eddie soundbite back for you. What's up, Eddie? Good to see you. Good to see you. I used to have an Eddie. What have you done for me lately, Eddie? I need to get it back. It's one of my favorites. Eddie Murphy. Hope you're having a good night. Hope you're having a good night. But it changes the whole narrative, right? Like if someone asks him, like, "Oh, he was seen on the 25th. Like where?" It could totally throw off what people saw, what they remember.
that photo? It's so cute.
Because it's cute. It's got a smile. It's the last picture I took of him.
That's the last picture he took of him?
Because it's cute. It's got a smile. It's the last picture I took of him.
I wonder where he took that. Huh. That was the last, but he doesn't say when he took it, though. True crime for you. I don't know about that. It's just putting some of the pieces together, right? And that's it on that one. So I'll give you guys the link to this as well. This one's on Facebook. Yeah, I don't know when he took it. He looks younger, doesn't he? Lori, Facts Not Feelings looks like a picture in a restaurant, huh? But Katie got slammed for taking a picture in a restaurant. It does look like a picture in a restaurant. You're right. Okay, let's go on to our next one because this one's a bit longer. All right, let's close that one out and on to this. Okay, now this, let me give you the date on this. This is when Heather Cohen was first brought in. Does anybody remember watching this? Because Seth actually joins the chat here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it. Let's see. Do they have chat replay on? Oh, they don't have chat replay on. Darn it. Put a 1 if you've seen this. UA got blocked here. All right, sweet. There's a lot of people that haven't seen it. Yeah, this is when she vaped on the live stream, and Joel kind of was like, oh, I haven't seen anybody smoke on camera since the 60s. So this is from Surviving the Survivor, and they hosted Heather Cohen. Heather was just hired, and this was Heather's sidekick, Tracy, who, come to think of it, I wonder if that was the Tracy that was up on the Vault XL when Taco was up there. Anyway, this is Heather, Tracy. This is Rob D'Amico, founder of Sierra One Consulting, and Joel from Surviving the Survivor. And this date, was April 16th. April the 16th. So they've got it chaptered. This chapter, macro perspective, new private investigator, Seth petition, Sebastian's shoes, Oklahoma is a big section in here. Proudfoot. These are all the chapters. What would open a criminal investigation, and then a discussion. So let's get into it.
Well, from the macro perspective, you look at, you always have to, when the case starts, go with all the possibilities, because you don't want to rule one out and then close your eyes to it. And that's the dangerous part of some of these. So you want to look at if he really did just walk out of his in bare feet, how far would he go? How would he get to a place and all those things? And then you look at was he lured out via online stuff, and you start going down that road. And then you look at the one that always usually turns out to be one of the most likely ones is someone involved that knows them, and a lot of times it's domestic. So you go down those roads, and when you look at it now, how far can a 15-year-old walk in bare feet that you're not getting any? And they did the right things in the beginning. They had all the searches out, they had the canines, they had all those things that you would think lead to something. But you're also looking then at all his online stuff, his phone, his video games, all his communications. And if you're still not finding anything that's leading you down to that road that someone lured him out, that he was communicating with someone, and then you start looking at all the other things, naturally, how you track. I've been to a ton of man tracking courses as a sniper. There's ways to really look at finding a person that is just not trying to evade you, that's walking out there. But then you start looking at, like I started watching all the videos today and all the inconsistencies of people that he was involved with that are saying things. And the stories that they laid out are somewhat provable. If she said that they were at BJ's has cameras, and you can start looking at. You can start looking at cell phone data, even on the commercial ID side of where they were during that day. And you start matching up where in that story do things start leading like from what they're not saying. But then you start looking at the commentary that he's saying, and he's getting caught up in lies from one interview to another. And you have to start like wondering, okay, why is he lying? Why is he saying one thing to one person and something else to, say, Nancy Grace or some of these other folks?
You're talking about Chris Proud.
I was just going to say, I think they're talking about Chris.
The stepfather.
Yeah, the stepfather. So you start looking at that and we're like, well, like just because someone's lying doesn't mean they're lying for the reason that you think so, but you have to end up going down that route. And you're still following all the other leads with that. And then you start getting pulled back. You can't put blinders on, but you start going like, why is it not logical that we can't find a 15-year-old boy that walked out of his house without shoes, that wasn't trying to evade us, that just naturally did that? And then you go into, we find no communications on any of his electronic devices, because by now 7 weeks, you've done all the search warrants on emails, cell phones, video games, and I've done a lot of technical things trying to find kidnapped people, that you can start going down that road and seeing who's communicating with them. And now you start bringing in all the cell data of the stories that were laid out there. I just don't understand the inconsistencies during the interviews. I did undercover and I lied to people for 2 years, and you have to stay on top of it. But these are just really bad. They're talking, and they're just not remembering what they're saying, which is great for investigators to be able to start saying,
How?
well, you said this to one person. In the Nancy Grace interview, as a police officer, I would have loved it, because a lot of times when you bring them into a police station or you start interviewing them, the whole thing about, the informing of the rights and them she just went down every wicket, got both of them into a story that now that is their story that you can start unraveling, so to speak.
I heard the word sniper, Rob. So I got to ask you, where were you a sniper? What branch of the military? Was it military?
Actually, it was FBI. In the Marine, I was reconnaissance, and then when I was over at the hostage rescue team, I was a sniper.
Thank you for your service. Something I can
Big
never
shot.
do is be a sniper. I got shaky hands. I'd never be a sniper. Annie K, always with the good questions. I'm going to throw this one over to Heather, and then we will hear from Tracy finally. But Heather, Annie K, by the way, Heather, are you working now in an official capacity on this case? Heather, yeah, I'm sorry.
I would have my mic muted because my dog was barking. Yes, I am.
Can you tell us a little bit more?
Well, to be honest, I was wanting to hide, in the shadows for a little bit, but what I understand, I believe that the sheriff gave a statement to Channel 2 today that there have been 2 private investigators hired, and so the cat's out of the bag. Myself, and there is another private investigator also has been officially.
Just because someone said they hired a private investigator doesn't mean you had to come on a show. So I'm wondering why she did this.
Officially hired, and so yeah.
And are you hired, if I can ask, by Sumner County? Is that who hired you?
No, no, I am hired by the biological father. And again, I didn't want that to be known publicly, but the cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows, so there's really no reason to hide it at this point.
Well, you're hearing it here for the first time. Heather Cohen's firm, Justice Warriors, now working in an official capacity, hired by Seth Rogers. It just goes to show you the links that Seth Rogers, the father, is going to here. We're getting a little funny. if you're not speaking, if you can just keep yourselves muted, that would help me, Rob and Tracy. I know it's a little bit of a pain, and then we'll unmute as you go. But Heather, there's a question here from Annie. Is it time to try pinning the mom, Katie Proudfoot, against the father, Chris Proudfoot, with a time-limited bluff about the first one gets the deal kind of thing? Are we at that point yet where you've got to pressure one side or the other?
Well, no, I don't. I'm not at that point. I've only been working this case for 2 days. So I don't know where law enforcement are at with it. But I'm still trying to vet. I'm still trying to figure out who I even, believe should be on the radar. And I'm not at a point that I'm comfortable publicly saying anything about the Proudfoots.
We're looking at a picture here, obviously, of Sebastian Rogers, missing 15-year-old. If you have tips, 1-800-TBI-FIND, or you just reach out to.
This is the picture that was photoshopped. Look at his ear. It's all pointed and blurry. They photoshopped him. They gave him a sharper jawline. They changed his eyes. This is totally photoshopped. His nose is different.
Heather Cohen through Surviving the Survivor at Gmail, since she's in an official capacity now. This is one photo, and this is another photo that I saw today. This is an Amber Alert. This almost looks like an AI generated photo, but this is an Amber Alert, one of 2 that I think are still active, that may have changed since last week. But last week, I know there was 1 of 2 active in the nation at that point. Tracy, I'm just wondering the same question I asked Rob, just from a very wide perspective, your thoughts on this case about a 15-year-old seemingly just disappearing out of his bedroom 7 weeks ago without shoes. Just remember to unmute yourself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you got to remind me of that one. Several thoughts. One is, of course, she mentioned Devin Bond, a case we worked a while back, who was a teenager. and went missing, just up and disappeared. Then there's Joe Clyde Daniels, baby Joe, in this Mid-South, Middle Tennessee. He was an autistic child that disappeared. So you have those two cases that kind of buddy up with this case on either side. I try not to get tunnel vision. That's the worst thing you can do, is get tunnel vision if you are looking at everything. And if he was out without shoes on, maybe he walked, the camera would have gotten him, but maybe he walked somewhere and someone picked him up, so he wasn't there long without shoes. And his glasses, I'm not quite sure on the glasses if they're missing, or if they found the glasses, or he has the glasses with him. Because why would you have the glasses with him if there was something wrong? I'm not sure that. I'm still hung up on the glasses and where they are.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because at one point they said that a pair of glasses were found, and then they made it abundantly clear that they were not Sebastian Rogers' glasses. But I think everyone assumed that his glasses are missing or went missing. So that's an interesting question to try to get to the bottom of. COE, this is for you from Charmaine Lilly. Joel, can we add the
interesting that now we hear, right, from that the TBI report, that he has his glasses with him. So isn't it funny that the planted glasses would make us all believe foul play because he couldn't, see without the glasses?
Petition link that Seth has started to get help from the FBI. That you'll find it if you Google it, and we should get that up. Rob, I'm sorry. Did you want to jump in, Rob?
No, she mentioned tunnel vision, and I think that's one of the most important things, because as an investigator, having done like the sniper case, when the profilers came out and gave us a profile, everyone kind of got tunnel vision, and it really closed their eyes to those things. No matter how I've seen.
So when they talk, oh shit, when they talk about tunnel vision, who would they have tunnel vision on? Right? They would have tunnel vision on Katie because she was the last one to see him.
I try not to get tunnel vision. That's
media spotlight, and I want people to stay focused on finding Sebastian. Again, it is the 7th week that we're in here. Rob, just back to you on this. Someone brought up an interesting point that I had not seen brought up before, which is he's got a school bus driver and he's got classmates, and there's been no talk at all. I mean, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but let's just say you were the lead investigator. Are you looking at everyone? I mean, are you speaking to the bus driver? Are you speaking to the parents of classmates?
You absolutely have to. You don't know what thing that he said that may give you that he may only have trusted so many people to talk to, or said something, and you have to go back to him multiple times, because a lot of times they think they told you, and then they may remember something. It may be something that comes up, and you're looking through all his notebooks in school. Was he doodling something? Was he writing something? Did he say something offhand? And you just have to constantly go over things. And
well, we do know now that he was writing something. We heard there was something disturbing that was written, that was found. God, I'm all stuffed up again. I was all better today. I sit down and I get all stuffy. My phone died.
And fresh set of eyes, have another investigator come in to look at it, because sometimes you get tunnel vision on something and you don't see it the same. So hopefully they're doing that. And that's, when you get into, like, if TBI gets involved or the FBI, you get fresh sets of eyes. You get people that aren't maybe locked into a local thing that's going on, to look at it differently. And you have to just keep pushing that with it. And it's one of those, you don't know where that lead's going to come from. I remember when I worked Fugitives, Saturday night when America's Most Wanted was coming on, we hated it because we were running around the city with all these crazy leads, but you never turn that off, because guess what? One of them's going to be the right lead to find something, and you just can't discount it. And if you have investigators that are burned out or something, that's the worst thing you can do, is you got to give them breaks. You got to have them come back in. You got to have someone look at it in a case like this.
So Rob, you must know our friend Lenny DePaul. He's from Fugitive Manhunters. Good dude out in New York. Linda Vergata here. This is a great question. Is there any proof that he did not have more than 3 pairs of shoes? How can we be sure? Heather, to you on this one, the information we're getting about the shoes, I believe, is coming from the mom, Katie Proudfoot. So how can we be so sure that at this point that maybe he left with another pair of shoes? I don't know.
I mean, I don't think we really can be sure of that. But I think for me, the biggest mind bender about this whole case is the fact that something that we learned today from the sheriff, which I don't know how much of this has been out publicly, but he talked to us. I sat down with Sheriff Weatherford today at the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, and he said that, you know, they've got footage from ring cams of Sebastian coming out, dropping the trash in the trash bin, going back in. They've got his lights coming on in his room. They've got footage of him going in. There's no footage of him ever coming out. I mean, that's the big mind bender here, is that there's not even any proof that he ever left the house. They have nothing. I mean, nothing.
Yeah, that's amazing right there, because you just don't even know where to begin, which is, I'm going to come back to you on that. Jody Arrington, I seem to remember law enforcement not wanting to comment about the lights. There was this talk about 2 flashlights on the front lawn. Tracy, I don't know if you recall this, but I think they went back and said, hey, those were really just floodlights from the opposite side of the house. Do you have any information on this, Tracy?
I do, and I got it from this great PI that's working the case. And yes, they were floodlights. They have determined that they were floodlights, not flashlights.
Who'd she say told her that? Who did Tracy say told her that?
Do you have any information on this, Tracy?
I do, and I got it from this great PI that's working the case. And yes, they were floodlights. They have determined that they were floodlights, not flashlights.
And that,
she got it from a great PI working this case? Who the hell is that? They've been on this case for 2 days. Look at Heather. A great PI that's working the case. Heather's been on it for 2 days.
that could change the perspective.
Is it Heather? Is that why she smiled? Because it's me.
I do, and I got it from this great PI that's working the case. And yes, they were floodlights. They have determined that they were floodlights, not flashlights.
And that could change the perspective of the case in some ways, because I think at the point where they thought they were flashlights, they assumed that maybe it was someone possibly even leading Sebastian out, but that is proving not to be the case. This petition is what Amelia is talking about here. I signed that flyer for the FBI to take over on this case that's out that Seth had made for Sebastian. Did you guys see that? It's huge. Rob, would the FBI ever take over a case because the public is petitioning for it? I'm curious what your thought is.
No, it's one of those where the FBI will get more involved on the request of the police. If someone could prove some for some crazy reason that it wasn't something was going on odd, maybe, but we're not going to take over the case. So those are a bit extreme. We may provide more resources based on what they're asking. If they have a lead, we may send down one of our aircraft that can even look at, we have aircraft that have sensors that can find shallow graves and some other technology that.
Whoa, they have aircraft that can find shallow graves. But isn't it interesting though that this is all when Seth wanted this big petition signed? Oh my God, tell me you didn't sign that petition. Please tell me y'all didn't sign that petition to get the FBI to take over Sebastian's case, because Seth fucking convinced everyone that the local LE wasn't doing their part. Italy, is it the same one? I'll look at it after this. We'll look at that. And this guy's sitting here saying, that's a little ridiculous. We don't take over cases. And I was saying that all along. That's not how the FBI works. They don't come in and take over cases. Aw, thank you, JC. Jay, I appreciate all you are doing for Sebastian. Thank you. It's a full-time job to dispel myths and lies. Yeah, he wanted to have the FBI take over. And it was like, they don't do that. And this guy's telling you, he's like, we don't take over cases. Heather Cohen knew that. So why'd they go along with this petition is beyond me.
If someone could prove some for some crazy reason that it wasn't something was going on odd, maybe, but we're not going to take over the case. So those are a bit extreme. We may provide more resources based on what they're asking. If they have a lead, we may send down one of our aircraft that can even look at, we have aircraft that have sensors that can find shallow graves and some other technology that if something comes up that they'll request it and come down, but we're not going to take the case over. We're going to just work with them.
Rob, let me ask you a question you can't answer. Why is there no shortage of violent crime in this country? Why does it just never, ever end?
Actually, I've been around the world and there's no short of violent crime anywhere. I was just talking to somebody today about this, and I just never am not surprised at the ability of other humans to harm humans. And it's worse in some places, and though this country's not short of it. And it's unbelievable when you start looking at it.
Yeah, it's I mean, it does happen elsewhere. It just seems, I mean, obviously we're here in the States, but it's got to stop. I guess it's been going on since the beginning of time. My thing is, why don't people understand like this case out of Oklahoma? I mean, these people are going to sit in prison more than likely for the rest of their lives. Why don't people think about those repercussions, Rob?
So many of them think they can get away with it. And like the more TV shows they watch, thinking they watched enough CSI to get rid of bodies or whatever. It's just amazing how stupid. It's amazing how stupid criminals are. I mean, I've seen bank robbers write the demand note on their own deposit slip and surprised that the police show up, 20 minutes after they get home. And it just gets into a point where people start, especially in groups. I mean, groupthink on things like this. You look at the
hell no, you're not alone. Listen what he's talking about right now, Pine.
The people in Oklahoma, because I made some comments on that. Again, what were they thinking that it wasn't going to come back to if there's a child dispute, that it's going to come back to them? And do they really think they have the capability to hide a crime scene? You think watching CSI makes you smart enough to do it, but the technology that's coming out that the police can use, that we can bring in, is just unbelievable. But the best part, though, is when you get an investigator who has some scientific evidence against someone who's lying, especially if you're trying to get 4 people to say the same thing, you're going to find the shortcoming in the story. You're going to find a weak one, and then you're going to go after them to tell on others. And it's one of those things I think you really start to have to look at on this case. Okay, if we assume the worst, that it was somehow the mom or the stepdad, what really transpired to do this? What was it? Something he did that then was an encounter that got too far, or was it something that they had planned further on? For some reason, they wanted to get rid of him. As bad as that sounds. So then you have to look at, he says he was in, was it Memphis? I think he said
Memphis. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. Memphis.
Yeah. In so many ways. Like, did he leave his cell phone in Memphis? Did the vehicle he had that has GPS, was that checked out? Was he really in Memphis? Because in order to appear in Memphis, you have to do a lot of things electronically to do that, that you can also check on. Or was it something that happened with the mom and then he came back and covered it up? What were those things? So you have to start going down we call red selling that, like really understanding if that was what would happen, then that encounter, they saw the camera saw him bringing the trash out. They saw his light go on. So they're putting timeline on there so that they can get it down to, okay, if something happened, it happened between this time in that house. And did they actually request to do a search warrant in the house to blacklight it, to do all the other things, on the police side to see if a crime was committed in there. I did hear, now the shoes though, that the biological father said 3 pairs of shoes too. And I don't know if he was those, some kids, I think my wife would be able to tell you exactly what pairs of shoes the kids had when they were little because she was so involved with them.
He's not little.
But I think he actually said, someone had said about furniture and there was a new bed in the garage or something. Well, why did that happen? Why did you just get this bed that's in the garage? Is it replacing something? Start going down those roads to really see if, in fact, something happened. And, scientifically, there's lots of ways to find out, if an item was, had DNA on it and stuff like that. So they really have to start going down. I think now is the time that they really have to start pressing on, well, let us search your house. Let us do some forensic evidence collection in your house if you guys are really innocent. I don't know if that's been done or not. If they asked him, it's the same thing with the polygraph. He said he took one to one person, and he said he didn't. And they say that the police told him he didn't have to. I don't know any cop that would say, "Hey, you don't have to take a polygraph." Like I would polygraph everybody. Like if they're willing to do it. So especially the stepdad, because even if I proved he was in Memphis, well, then I would ask him if he knew what happened to him. Meaning like. Maybe the mom did it and he's covering up. So that on the polygraph, I'm going to go after him on that. It's not just that he's in Memphis.
Yeah. And Nancy Grace tried cornering him into a polygraph and he wiggled his way out of that. So, but
okay.
That's,
well, Seth
I guess
must have wiggled his way out of the TBI then, Joel, because Chris Proudfoot took polygraphs, as far as we know, with multiple agencies, right? It is a choice, Agatha.
The whole tunnel vision issue is, are we just so thirsty to get him? But we'll see how it plays out. This is great. We'll go in the opposite clockwise here with a guest, Nikki Cuds, our friend in the NYC in New York. Do we know? And I know he's high functioning, but Tracy, do we know his verbal communication skills? What level they are at? If he would be able to explain something to someone out.
Here we go.
I do not know 100%. I know that he is, they were saying that he could make his way down to get some ice cream. He knew how to walk that far. He knew the route to take. He knows the route to take to his dad's house. So that tells me he is not at a extremely high IQ level on the majority of things. He has.
What? How does she know all this 2 days in? Tara, can you confirm that Seth got his phone back from LE? I've heard different things. I've heard different things too. No, Chloe was paid. So, or not Chloe, sorry. Heather was paid. So Chloe was doing it for free. She was the one that wanted to do the background checks. And then Seth paid Chloe, or fucking Heather, this chick. And then he didn't pay her again. Like, he only had her for one round.
Some obviously lower in that range of being able to just, I know plenty of autistic people that live their lives, go to work every day, went to college, like that. I don't think he's that capable.
Okay. Knowing that, I'm sure law enforcement knows that at this point. Mm-hmm. From Jazz, these are great questions coming in.
Right.
Heather, I don't know if you...
They don't know if he's verbal or not, but they're supposed to find him. What?
know this, you'll probably find this out now that you're actually involved in the case. Have they done a door-to-door search in that community? Now, I do know that the Sumner County Sheriff has asked at one point, I don't know if he still is, for residents in Hendersonville, at least, to check their properties twice a day. But do you know if a door-to-door search was done, Heather?
I'm sure in the immediate area. I don't know that they've expanded out for, door-to-door knocks beyond that. But I do know that they have done 5-mile radius search. They've had the technology, the high technology aircraft that flies over that can see the thermal. The way it was explained to me during the Cummins case, that they were flying 10,000 feet above and they could see him limping through the woods. Well, that is the same technology that they used in a 5-mile radius looking through the woods for Sebastian.
Real quick, just before I forget, I'm sorry. My friend Kevin Fixler, who is AP Reporter of the Year in Idaho, he's breaking a fairly interesting and big story on Brian Kohberger tomorrow. That will be in the Idaho Statesman, and we're going to have him on tomorrow night with some guests to discuss that. It's a busy week. And then on Thursday, we're getting some new information in the Ellen Greenberg case. I just spoke to this is the case that I wish all these investigators would take up. Ellen Greenberg, Ellie Snowhole, she stabbed 20 times. It's a fan. Joel, her attorney, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is being kicked around. The case has never ever been investigated, and it's being kicked around the different districts in Pennsylvania and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So her parents are set to join us, and I'm hoping that the game station of Sebastian. Heather's nodding her head yes. Now, from WebFan, Joel, was the game station of Sebastian Rogers retrieved? The account saves his last interaction and whom he was playing with. Heather's nodding her head yes. Now, Heather, I've heard contradictory reports. I heard that he wasn't a gamer. He wasn't allowed to play games. And then some people say he was a gamer. You're shaking your head yes. What do you know?
He was allowed to play at his father's. His PlayStation and his father's PlayStation were both taken. They have both of them. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, obviously, we always hear about computers being seized, but I'm not sure how they will. We can ask Rob about that in a minute. But Heather, back to you. Now that you've made it publicly known that you are working on this case and you were hired by Sebastian Rogers, the biological father, where I asked you this last time, but now it's a real question. Where do you begin here?
Well, so I started with talking, trying to talk to all, the family members, the immediate family members. But where I'm at right now, all day yesterday, all day today, I've been focusing on the sex offenders in the immediate area. I found there's some very interesting facts about that. There is a sex offender very, very close, who has several sexual or aggravated sexual assault charges, one on a minor under the age of 13.
Yes, he had his own. It came out that he had like the older one. Seth had the newer one. I don't know what the hell they're called. PlayStation 5? I don't fucking know.
Can you say, is this within a few blocks, a mile? I mean, roughly.
This is within a mile.
Within a mile, okay.
Correct.
So you think you'll start there, looking at some of these people? Is that right?
That's where I'm at right now. Yes.
Rob D'Amico, back to you on this, and feel free to comment on that. But I'm just curious. You're 7 weeks in, and nothing. Do you have to do like a proverbial reset at some point, and kind of take a breath and look at everything you have, and then kind of try to figure out where to pivot from?
I think you do. I would hope maybe TBI has a team to come in to do that, so that the main investigator stays on his leads and stuff, and you have a team to come in, like I said, red cell it to look at it, to see if a bias is coming in there. But the sex offender, it reminds me of a story. I don't know if you remember, Jimmy Rice disappeared down in the Redlands, south of Miami, when I first got an FBI. It was one of the first big cases I worked. And we all kind of pointed, because the parents had gone away and the 17-year-old brother had some problems. We started looking at that. And it turns out later on, it was a sex offender who lived a couple miles away, got very bold and grabbed them between the bus stop 50 yards from the house. And it was one of those that a lot of people were looking at the family because there was no evidence of that grab at all. He got off the bus, was walking, and the person pulled up in a car and grabbed, pointing a gun at him, told him to come in. And it was only, I think it was, the guy worked on a kind of a farm in the area and was staying in a trailer, and the people that hired him thought some things were missing. So the husband took him to the store, and the wife walked into the trailer looking for the stuff that was stolen and saw Jimmy Rice's book bag. And that was the key. So, and it was around 7-8 weeks after that happened, but we were focused on the brother. It was, there's some issues there, and the parents were away. So it was one of those that you have to keep running down and you have to keep searching. Leads will follow up, and something doesn't make sense. I think there's enough facts in both the stepdad and the mom's story that you can really start looking at it if in fact they're lying. And if they're lying, then you can start pulling apart things. And then at one point, I think they're going to find one of the lies is more so. Like if something happened with the mom and it happened there, and the stepdad came home and is helping cover it up, you're going to start seeing things, and they're going to start being able to pit one against the other type of thing, figuring out how to do that. But you still have to run down those leads with all the sex offenders and stuff like that. It may be a whole different reason why they're lying and why they're getting caught up in these lies that are silly, because you're telling one person one thing on camera and someone else something totally different. And we all kind of focus on that, but it could be that outside thing that someone came across him, and it could have been he was outside for some reason. And then that offender, did something. So keeping those eyes open, but I think a red cell team, like you talk about, to come in and put a fresh set of eyes on it to understand, are they looking in the right spot? Is there something they're missing?
Yeah. That's actually the first time, Heather brought this up about, looking for, sex offenders, child sex offenders in the area. And I hadn't heard that, but obviously that is a very smart place to start.
When you start looking, it's amazing how many there are. When we looked at Redlands, and this is before apps like Citizen and stuff that tell you where they are, it was like 200 within a 10-mile, and we're like 200. We're like, holy cow. Yeah. Like, are you kidding? And then you start looking at it, and it's amazing how many are out there. They're good and those are the registered ones. And then you may have someone that didn't register.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this, Rob, but maybe a month or two ago.
The unregistered ones are the ones you need to worry about, the ones that haven't gotten caught. Sebastian could be quite aggressive, bit of a difficult target for a SO. Cricket, he said it's when they start over and start from the beginning. Yeah, Taco said he wanted to meet Dolly.
Right here in Miami Beach on 71st and Collins, some guy charged 74th and Collins, which is the CVS my dear mother goes to. Father was walking in with his wife and child, and a guy tried to literally abduct the child, pick him up, and tried to run out the store, CVS. So it can happen in much closer proximity, I think, than even 50 yards. That was scary as hell. Analytical Blarney AB, friend of the show, gifting the memberships. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. This is just eating away at me. And Tracy, I'm curious to get your take on this. From Aria Dakota Grimaldi Lane, a great name. Apparently the Proudfoots have moved out of their Tennessee home and moved to Memphis. How does this look to law enforcement? Heather's saying no. Tracy's saying no. So where are they now, Tracy?
I'm not going to say where they are.
Okay.
But they are not in the Memphis. They are not in the Memphis area.
Are they close to Hendersonville? Are they in Hendersonville? I mean,
Yes.
okay.
In the area, they're in the area of where
Oh.
they were.
But there were reports that they took off. Did that raise
Did you hear that? How does she know where they're staying? They're close to Hendersonville. Remember they said that Chris and Katie went back to his work? Were they really? Or were they hiding from frickin' Seth? Because listen.
Tracy's saying no. So where are they now?
Listen.
Eating away at me. And Tracy, I'm curious to get your take on this. From Aria Dakota Grimaldi Lane, a great name. Apparently the Proudfoots have moved out of their Tennessee home and moved to Memphis. How does this look to law enforcement? Heather's saying no. Tracy's saying no. So where are they now? Tracy.
I'm not going to say where they are.
Okay.
But they
Probably
are not in
idea.
the Memphis. They are not in the Memphis area.
Are they close to Hendersonville? Are they in Hendersonville? I mean,
Yes.
okay.
In the area, they're in the area of where they were.
But there were reports that they took off. Did that raise your alarm at all, Tracy?
It in some ways, yes, and in other ways, you got to look at it. These people are being threatened with their lives.
See,
it's full on down here. You know, the local
is that why these two aren't on it anymore? She's saying no. I mean, in some ways, yeah. Like initially, it would seem weird that she left, that Katie left, but she says these people are being threatened. Their lives are being threatened.
See.
This is Seth's people. They're saying they know Chris and Katie are near or in Hendersonville somewhere, and that their lives are being threatened.
It in some ways, yes, and in other ways, you got to look at it. These people are being threatened with their lives. It's full on down here. You know, when that local lynch mob gets going.
Yeah, Tara Lynn's
they
kin.
see it one way.
Tara Lynn's kin
But,
won't go lynch mob.
But yeah, I can understand why they moved and needed to just get away at that point. And I did want to.
Damn, Tracy throwing it all out there. April 16th. This is April 16th.
Add too that the TBI comes in on a missing persons case, if I'm correct. However, they must be invited in if it becomes a homicide. Am I correct in that? Shake your head, Heather. I'm pretty. I maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know with cases that one of the cases that in another county in Tennessee, that they were there as soon as there was a missing person. However, they were not invited into the homicide when the body was found, and they were not part of that investigation.
Who's Nikki?
One thing I wanted to ask Rob about, because he's talking about inconsistencies in statements, and I watched that Nancy Grace interview, Rob, with Katie and Chris Proudfoot pretty closely. And Chris Proudfoot, at one point, when he's asked about going to Memphis, because I think at one point they did do that, he offered information. I brought this up on the show before, but it's just kind of stuck in my brain. He says to Nancy, well, Nancy, there's no way I could have done it. Something along these lines. It's a 3 hour and 37 minutes door to door. And he said exactly, it was almost like an alibi. It was almost like, hey, I couldn't have done this because look, it's 3 hours. It wasn't 3 hours and 35 minutes. It wasn't 3 hours and 30, it's 3 hours and 37 minutes. Curious if you picked up on that, what you made of it.
If I could show you my notes from that interview, I'm like 3 hours and 37 minutes, not 3.5 hours. Like, did you like it again, when you look at people, when they're lying and telling stories and making things up, what you remember and such, like the 337 was just one of those things that just caught my attention, to do that and to understand that. And it was one of those that I said, someone who's making an alibi thinks that, oh, if I give really good detail, they'll believe me type of thing, because they read that and,
Oh, kind of like John Ramsey's ransom note of exactly his amount of his bonus for that year. But everybody says John Ramsey didn't do it.
One of those books about, undercovering lies and such. But that amount of detail. But then again, he doesn't remember what the son was lying about when he whipped him with the belt. But he remembers the 337. So it goes in and out. They remember certain things when they want to, and they don't remember certain things when they don't want to. But it was definitely one of those. It caught my attention, and I said, someone who's like laying that alibi out thinks if I give them a lot of detail, they're going to believe me. So 3 hours and 37 minutes caught my attention right off the bat. I wrote it down. Saying, okay,
well,
that's a bit.
You know what catches my attention more so than that? The fact that Seth said it took him 45 minutes. Then he said it took him an hour and a half. All his times have changed, right? I don't give a damn how Chris originally said it. You plug it in your GPS. He also said they were on the phone at 9:36 or 9:46 or whatever the fuck he said. Maybe he's just like that. But did it change? Seth's has.
Bit much for me to understand that excuse. That alibi building thing. But it, again, you go into what was, there's so many ways to be able to check certain things like license plate readers and toll things and all these other stuff and phones. If he had his phone, I can start looking at the cell tower hits on that phone because I would assume he would be talking to his wife as he's hurrying home. Like, did you find anything? Did you find anything? But also in that interview, he did say he was going back to Memphis for work. And it was a really odd, he didn't explain it well. He's like, yeah, I got to get back to work. And then Nancy followed up, well, are you going? And she goes, and the wife, the wife says, yes, but not for work. I'm just going to join him. Like, from all the people I've seen on missing people, they're so afraid to even turn the porch light off, let alone leave the house, thinking for whatever reason that they need to be there. And they kind of casually say, oh, yeah, we're going for his work. But I did think of the threats there, because I do know it's I've seen people want to move out of the house just because of all the media attention and the threats back to the family. And I can see that too. But the reason they gave was not that at all. And it was early on. I don't know when Nancy Grace's interview was, but she hit on it. Like, you're leaving the house. You're not worried about it. And then the excuse was very, very bland and vague.
Yeah. Well, Rob, at one point, and I'll get back to the other two in a moment, and I appreciate everyone being patient. But at one point, Rob, they did leave. I mean, that is for sure. They took off. If I have 3 children, if one of them went missing, I just know how I would react. I would never leave. I'd be at the front, steps of my house. I mean, what did you make of that? Because the previous question was, would that raise the antennae of law enforcement?
It would. Again, I have 4 kids, and my God, if anything happened, and then I don't even want to say what their mom would do, because that would be even it's one of those mother instinctual things and parents that you would just never, I don't think, want to leave the house. But with the blinders on, that's how I would react, and that's how certain people would react. That you can't really say, well, that indicates that they did it. You still have to keep those eyes open, even though it's heightening. It's a yellow flag, because everyone thinks, oh, everyone should react with us. And I've seen other things happen where people don't react the same way you think, and you're like, oh, they're guilty because they're not doing what I would do. And as a seasoned investigator, you really learn to put that down, say it's a yellow flag. It's definitely not right. I need to check this, but not saying, oh, they're guilty, and then you focus totally on them.
So many ways this investigation could still go. Shoshana here, love that name, by the way. Heather, were Sebastian's clothes that he wore to, I think it was BJ's, found at the home? Do we know?
I actually saw that question, and I texted the other PI because she's worked it longer, and I wasn't sure that question or the answer to that question. She said that we have not received confirmation of that Seth has asked law enforcement, and they have not confirmed to him.
And then there's this question from Kelly J. Did you find it odd that Katie calls him and he calls the sheriff that he wore to, I think it was BJ's, found at the home? Do we know?
I actually saw that question and I texted the other PI because she's worked it longer and I wasn't sure that question or the answer to that question. She said that we have not received confirmation of that Seth has asked law enforcement and they have not confirmed to him.
And then there's this question from Kelly J. Did you find it odd that Katie calls him and he calls the sheriff, not 911, and not the mother calling 911? Heather, that is curious, right?
It's interesting. And what I had been told about that was that she was supposedly on three-way during that call, but she was muted.
It's always an answer, I guess. Rob D'Amico shaking his head. Tracy, I know you work with Heather, from what I understand. So now that you guys are officially kind of helping out here, what is your role going to be? Do you know? Starting, I guess, today.
Well, I'm Heather's backup. Whatever she needs, I do it. I get it done, or I find a way to get it done. That way she can keep out there and ground pounding, going door to door and finding out what she needs to do.
And I want to get back to kind of a day in the life of you guys in just a moment. But Rob D'Amico, so Sumner County Sheriff and the TBI basically say, look, there's no foul play involved, but at the same time, in the same breath, saying foul play has not been ruled out, that no one's been cleared. So what would it take here? And I asked this last time, but what would it take to open a criminal investigation? They need some sort of hard evidence, right? Blood evidence, something along those lines.
I call that the no evidence of foul play, the Atlanta bombing thing with law enforcement, where was it Richard Jewell, the whole thing, and they got sued and stuff like that for saying he was a target. And so I think law enforcement is very, very conscious of saying that.
Welcome back, guys.
And I think some of this, they can do a lot of things without a, quote, upfront criminal investigation. I hope they got voluntary search warrants and everything else like that. That's, again, I would just ask, can we come in and search your house? And if they say no, I would have real, even though the Fifth Amendment stuff, I have issues, because if it was my kid, again, I'm rational. I'd say, come in and search my house. Everything you need, I will give you. And if they don't, I would think there's something to that. So hopefully they still have a mechanism to get search warrants for electronics, for emails, and all these other things that you need to start doing down. Hopefully they're getting the electronic data from the cell towers and such, because sometimes you don't need that in a case where, Quarles exception, where it's public safety. You're looking for someone that trying to still be alive, and you could do certain things without a criminal case. But hopefully they have some mechanism to do those. If they don't, then they really do need to open some type of inquiry or something, an assessment, to get them those powers of law enforcement to be able to look for certain information.
Robin E. Hunter, amen, amen. Heather's on the case, sending so much love and strength to find this young man, Sebastian Rogers. So, Heather, walk me, if you can, without giving away critical information, but what is a day for you like going to be?
Yes, Ganja, we're still on. Puff, puff, pass.
Let's say tomorrow, what do you do? Are you going out into the community? Are you working on a computer? I'm just curious the process here.
It's being out there, and it's so fly by the seat of your pants. I can't, one thing may send you in this direction, in that direction. I really couldn't tell you. I've been, like I said, looking into the sex offenders. I've been, of course, by the house, all that stuff. Just talking to people, talking to neighbors, talking to the neighbors of the sex offenders, just trying to find somebody that's seen something. And I want to tell you, too, this is interesting. After the last time, a few days ago, when I was on your podcast, I received an anonymous tip, which has also been something that I'm following up on. And So, that's, I really appreciated somebody that follows your podcast and decided to trust me with information they were afraid to go to law enforcement with.
That warms my heart. That's why we're doing these shows.
Weird.
Hopefully it'll bring some light. And here it is. You can send tips to Surviving the Survivor at Gmail if you want, and I'll send them on to Heather. But obviously the best way to do it is 1-800-TBI-FIND. You can call 1-800-TBI-FIND. And that's why, again, for full transparency, not a lot of new news here. But I said I want to stay on this case. This could be anyone's child, and he needs to be found.
Shut up, Joel.
Tracy, I'm wondering, you're sort of local, I think, to the area. What the media attention has been like there. Is it dying down, or is it still making the news every night?
I'm actually in northern Mississippi, not far from Memphis, and Heather's actually in the area, but. Yeah, when they get the lynch mob get going, I mean, they just keep each other going until it gets out of hand. And that's why and have the real facts and how it's done. And you just can't jump on the bandwagon. You have to find out. It's not dying down. It just is, maybe the search part of it is dying down.
Clue.
But not
oh my
the
God.
talk and the interest is not dying down.
Yeah, and that was my next question. Heather, do we know, I mean, there were large search parties going out. Is that still happening?
There are still searches, but I did make a phone call to my friend Monica Kaysen, the founder of Q Center for Missing Persons, and we're trying to get them involved. And
Sure.
and I'm trying to get her in touch directly with the sheriff's department to coordinate
Said
because
not sure.
they won't do anything without law enforcement's blessing. So they've got it. That's really our holdup right now, is just getting what they need and getting the communication line open with the sheriff's department.
Rob D'Amico from Brandy, she wants to know how many red or yellow flags need to be seen before investigators can. It's always an argument. It's either home, like you live in a home, or hone. I think the proper word is home, H-O-M-E. But how many red or yellow flags do you need before you say, okay, we're going to look at
Seth.
such and such person?
Oh, okay, hold on. I get up to get a damn drink, and Seth comes in the chat. I just want to find Sebastian with a sad face. So what are they talking about?
They've got it. That's really our holdup right now, is just getting what they need and getting the communication line open with the sheriff's department.
Rob D'Amico from Brandy, she wants to know how many red or yellow flags need to be seen before investigators can. It's always an argument. It's either home, like you live in a home, or hone. I think the proper word is home, H-O-M-E. But how many red or yellow flags do you need before you say, okay, we're going to look at such and such person, Rob?
Well, I think, yellow flags, you can start, it just gets your eye up. Like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense. And the more that come up. But when you start targeting them in an interview, you want to have enough facts, known facts that you can present to them. And they've laid out their story to a number of people that then you can go back on. And I think it is a investigative strategy when to and who to go after, so to speak, in an interview. But you want to have all those things, written down, the what you can prove through, cellular and all these other things that you have to what they said. And then you want to come in and you want to say, hey, look, I just need you to clarify some things, because you said some things and we're not seeing the actual data line up to them, and then gauge a reaction. I did a lot of interrogations overseas on counterterrorism folks on target and back in places. I never wanted to go in with the strict, this is how the interview is going to go, because I had certain facts, I had certain thoughts, and then I let the interview dictate to me and how they reacted to me and how they you get everything from the non-verbal stuff, and you get feedback, and you want to make them feel comfortable with you to tell you. And if you think one did it and one didn't do it, you got to get to that place where they feel that you're their safety to tell the truth and why they should tell the truth. So I would get as much as I could, and then I'm going to have a feeling that I could go at one of them based on my interaction with them, to maybe take that chance. But you don't want to do it too quick. You don't want it, that you think you have a fact and you don't. But the yellow flags and red flags get to, again, a seasoned investigator getting to the point where I think I can get this person. I think I can get them to either admit to it or admit to what they did in furtherance of it, based on what they have.
Yeah, and Rob's got a ton of experience and interesting insight. This is a big moment in the show. Seth Rogers, who is the biological father of Sebastian, is in the chat. And he says, as you can see here, I just want to find Sebastian. Excuse me. Seth, I just want to say to you that as a father of 3, myself and my wife works on this show, that we're thinking of you constantly, and
play the little violin,
praying that Sebastian is found. I was speaking earlier, I'm not sure how long you've been in, that as a former news guy, it's a little discouraging to me that at least nationally it's losing a little luster.
Yeah, I don't know how long you've been in here, buddy, but we were just talking about blood evidence and shit.
Media gets bored quickly, and I said to the COE, I said to Steve Cohen, we have to stay on.
No, this is where Seth, exactly, Nana, Feisty Nana, and he went in all these chats and he blocked people that did not side with him. Remember, he would block us all.
The story and brought these experts on. So just know that we are working in our very small little way. And I heard from Heather Cohen. She got a tip from our show, which I told her warms my heart. But this platform is open to you. Surviving the Survivor at gmail.com. My wife, this notorious COE, is in the chat. If you need to come on here, get information out, just vent, speak to STS Nation. I always say the best guest, but the best, better nation, better community is STS Nation. And if we can help in any way, it's Surviving the Survivor at gmail.com. If that means doing a show a day till we get them, let us know. And I'm glad to hear that you hired Heather, and cannot imagine what you're going through and the tireless efforts that you're putting in and the sleepless nights. It must be brutal, but know that you have a lot of support. We want you, Latoya, we want you as well. You have so much support behind you. Yes, this is true. I would say best guess, better community. Rob, anything with your vast experience that you would say to Seth? I mean, this is 7 weeks now of, I'm sure, very little sleep, not eating properly. Here's Seth. I don't have any new information currently. Rob, what would you say to Seth here?
I mean, it's survival. And we all can't imagine it, but just, surviving every day, and just doing what you can, what's in your ability, and don't lose hope, even when things look down. But it's one of those things that, everyone processes things differently, but just survive. And you got a ton of love out there. You got everyone, trying to do whatever they can for you and Sebastian. And it's one of those things that I really can't even imagine it, again, having 4 kids, but I just guess it's hour by hour. Sometimes it's minute by minute, but you're never going to give up hope for your child. So just keep doing what you're doing. And hopefully everyone within this will bring it to a close where you just understand.
Yeah, in these situations, I always wish there's something you could say, and there's not, because if you're not in that situation, you don't understand the pain, and the not knowing. It's got to be just unbearable. But we
Heather.
are here, and as I said, the platform is open to you. I was actually going to ask you, Heather, if you've had a conversation with Seth, and what his state of mind is. I know he's here right now, but when you talk to him, does he still seem in good spirits?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Yes, I've had many conversations with Seth, and he is just he hasn't, I mean, he's not able to sleep. He's not eating. Just every
he's not eating.
moment, it seems like he's just trying to find his kid. And that's
Heather, let me just interject right there. I might be wrong, but it seems like we're not hearing the same from Chris and Katie Proudfoot. We're not hearing the same desperation, the sleepless nights, the not eating. Does that concern you?
Well, I haven't had discussions with them like I have with Seth, so I can't say that they, that they're having, lavish meals and they're sleeping all night. And, I can't say that because I don't know. But, I think that we have to consider that maybe, Seth is being very, very transparent and he's front and center in the, as far as the public, and he has not been shy about saying how he feels about what happened in this case. Chris and Katie have been.
Wait, he said a million things happened in this case. Look at Ada Shaw JD. Seth, what's Sebastian's favorite song? We can all play and think about him. Okay, that's weird. Or his favorite color. We can flood social media.
More reserved, and, we can interpret that however we want. But I don't think it necessarily means that they're, fine. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say right now about that. I can't really make that assumption about them.
And there's Seth and Sebastian during better days. And by the way, that's a picture of Sebastian, quite obviously with no glasses. It's just a different look for him. But look how happy Sebastian is with his dad, Seth, there. And I pray that they are
Yep, Nana, I agree.
And reunited really quickly. Rob, back to you. We talked about the lie detector, just to kind of put a bow on that. So he's been wiggling his way, Chris Proudfoot, out of these. But I was reading today that you can trick lie detector tests, by taking a Xanax or something. Is that true? Or do those tests generally catch you?
Yeah, so there are ways to manipulate a lie detector if you understand how they work. In some of the programs I've been in, you learn because you may find yourself on one. Polygraphers know how to do it, but there's also ways now that they can detect it through. Again, I'm not going to get into all the lie detector.
No, it's not deleted.
Means on that. But it still consists down to the interview, to the guy running the polygraph and how they respond. And it's amazing. It's amazing what you can get them to admit without even doing that. So it's a combination of the interview and the polygraph and how they do it. I used to have to take a polygraph every 5 years for my reinvestigation. And it just sucks getting hooked up to it. And you have the games that are being played with the polygrapher and going back and forth and such that it gets into your mind. I always say though, like a sociopath, you can't really polygraph because he has no reaction to him lying and he has no reaction to what he's done. I remember the polygraph I took in the bureau, the polygrapher looked at me and goes, "Oh, you must be Catholic because you react to everything. You have that Catholic guilt type of thing." And it's funny, but when you get a seasoned polygrapher being able to look at how you respond and what you're doing, looking at the chart and such.
Remember when Seth took the polygraph, the polygrapher said, "Did you do anything to that boy that we spoke about earlier?" He didn't say Sebastian.
It's one of those things. It's not just strictly a polygraph that tells you. It's the
Look at Seth Rogers. We all show and handle things differently.
Interviewer, the polygrapher interacting with the equipment and how they see, again, someone that may be reacting. Because when you lie, it's stressful and you have to relieve stress. When through their hands, if you tie my hands up, I probably can't talk being Italian from New Jersey. But when you lie, there's all kinds of things that go with that. And you look at a polygraph where you have to sit there with your hands not moving, and there are going to be reactions to certain things. Again, if you ask Seth about it, he's going to have significant emotional reaction to certain questions and such. He's the father. He is having that. So you have to go back and forth. So polygraph, I think, are useful. I've seen them work unbelievable. And then I've seen some people just that are so good, it's the George Costanza, if you believe it, it's not a lie. If they convince themselves that, what they're saying isn't true, you're not going to see it on the machine. But again, the polygrapher may start seeing something to help in the interview. But him trying to get out of it, I think, is a big thing where he said, they all say up front, like, oh, I'll take a polygraph anytime. And then Nancy Grace makes it happen. And he's like, oh, no. We're not going to do that. I think that in itself starts talking to it.
Yeah. Seth Rogers back in. We all show and handle things differently. He's been nothing but all, full of grace throughout this. I don't think I'd be able to handle it that way. But people do handle things differently. I'd probably be, pointing my fingers at some people at this point. There was a good question about if Sebastian knows anyone's phone number.
I'd be pointing my fingers at
I don't
these
even know if
people?
I know anyone's number anymore because your cell phone literally just throughout this. I don't think I'd be able to handle it that way. But people do handle things differently. I'd probably be pointing my fingers at some people at this point. There was a good question about if Sebastian.
Wow. I'd probably be pointing my finger at some people at this point. What? I wouldn't take a poly on Nancy either. Fuck that. If I took it with law enforcement, I'd be like, I'm good. I don't need to prove anything on Nancy Grace. The hell? Sure laps.
Knows anyone's phone number. I don't even know if I know anyone's number anymore because your cell phone just literally just has everything saved. Like I literally do not think I know my own mother's cell phone. I have to think about it for a minute. But Heather, do we know if Sebastian has numbers memorized that he could call in a, if he was able to get to a phone?
I don't know the answer to that question. I just, as you were asking me, I just messaged and to see if
she doesn't know
if you
anything.
want to wait a couple of minutes and come back, I can give you an answer.
Don't you find it weird that she
then,
doesn't know any of these answers, but they know where Chris and Katie are staying and they know all about the threats?
Tracy, to you, one thing I'm curious about is just your thought on community involvement here. I mean, the community has been heavily involved. They've been handing out flyers, like we said earlier, conducting their own searches. How critical is a very aware community to solving a case like this?
Very aware that it's imperative. You have
sure laps. Why do you say it better not be? Just curious. Yes, this is Surviving the Survivor from April 17th.
have to have the community involved. You have to have people wanting to find this child. And the community has been very involved. They were involved at Tennessee. It's a volunteer state. They're always, whenever there's a missing child or a missing person, they are very, they come together. They really come together.
This is another great question. I'm going to toss to Rob here, and I've got another one for Rob. By the way, Heather, I mean this with all love. I love that you're reminding me of Edward R. Murrow. No one smokes on camera anymore except the old 1950s news guys. I don't know if that's a vape pen or what, but every time Edward R. Murrow. No one, I mean this, Rob here, and I've got another one for Rob.
Listen.
By the way, Heather, I mean this with all love. I love that you're reminding me of Edward R. Murrow. No one smokes on camera anymore except the old 1950s news guys. I don't know if that's a vape pen or what, but every time.
Stressful day. Okay.
Hey, to each his own. I'm just saying it reminds me of the old news days where they used to smoke on set. They used to smoke in airplanes. From C. Taylor.
Oh my God.
Rob, to you, why did no cameras, and we don't know this for sure, but it seems this way. Why did no cameras catch Sebastian on camera Sunday night, Monday morning if he left the house and or someone lured him? Did all neighborhood Ring cameras go down at the same time? I mean, there are cameras out there, Rob. You got to assume that the TBI and everyone involved has looked through this many, many times. It's a great question. Your thoughts on an answer here?
So I have I don't know, 7 cameras in around my house.
Okay. All right, now we're getting on cameras. But I wanted to say I liked this channel when I first started watching it. When he covered Madeline Soto's case, he lost me when he compared her being driven around deceased and propped up in the front seat to the movie Weekend at Bernie's. I don't think that's fucking funny. So that's when he pretty much lost me. And I think he's not, I don't know. He thinks he's cooler than he actually is, in my opinion. 7 cameras?
I don't know, 7 cameras in around my house. It all depends on the ability for the IR light at that time to pick something up. So infrared light, some cameras have it internal, but it only goes out 20 feet. If there was a light on, say, their front porch and the Ring cameras across the street, it would pick that up. But if there was no light on the front porch, that Ring camera doesn't have an IR light that's going to be able to pick something up 20, 30 yards across the street. So it all depends on lighting and what.
Okay, well, I'll tell you who has a lot of cameras. Bobby's neighbor. Bobby's neighbor has that many cameras.
30 yards across the street. So it all depends on lighting and what is captured and stuff. So I guarantee, like, the police have looked over those. They probably have sent those up to the further labs where you can try to enhance it and do other things to the video. But if the camera doesn't have the ability, if it doesn't have the pixels and the infrared light to shine on that, it picked them up, bringing someone bringing the trash to the, front thing. I don't know if the resolution was good enough to say it was, if it was him. It could have been somebody bringing the trash, and it could have been him. It could have been his mom. It could have been someone else. Doesn't have the resolution to say who that fact was. So if you have
Rob, here's sort of a follow-up to this while we're on the topic from Samantha Ferroni, a fellow Italian. I don't know if she's from New Jersey.
Samantha Ferroni.
I miss my Jersey Italians. Us Jewish people and the Jersey Italians, we get along well. We all move our hands wildly. Here's a $5 super chat. From an investigative standpoint, being cameras don't show Sebastian leaving the home, what is required now to have the homes tested forensically with luminol, things of that nature?
One, I would just ask voluntarily. I mean, and that's the simplest way. Like, look, if he left the home, let us come in and look at it forensically. And if they say no, and I don't know if
they better step it up.
Counsel, who I'm sure would say no for them. But then I think there's enough in here to understand to get a search warrant, because a search warrant's based on that you've done everything else in this. You have to have some probable cause. But if you go down and start saying how the physical search of a boy that had, supposedly no shoes, could walk and nothing came up, and then you find no online chatter of him linking up with somebody, that maybe you couldn't talk a judge into getting a search warrant to do that in the house. If he in fact left, there's going to be no forensic crime scene in there. But it's one of those things going back and forth with your district attorney and what you have in the case, what they really truly have, that we may not be seeing to get that search. I would just voluntarily ask, say, look, if he left the house, let us do a forensic analysis of the house, of the home, to see. I would be surprised they didn't do that already. It's just one of those things.
I mean, the chances are pretty good that they've done that, correct?
Seth Rogers, he has mine memorized. So he's saying here, Sebastian has his number memorized. Did he say that? Did he say that? Is that consistent?
Correct. I hope.
I would think so. And the girls may know more. I would think they would way before this.
Yeah. Here's Seth Rogers with a little bit of good news that Sebastian has his cell phone memorized. So that is a good thing. So if he was able to get to a cell phone, he would know the number of his father and he'd be able to reach it.
Okay, well, that tells me a lot about Sebastian. If he can remember phone numbers like that, like, he probably is good with numbers, because I can't remember numbers to save my life. I really can't. I flip them around every time. Like, if someone says, you give me 4 digits, I can't. Unless it's something simple.
Out. So let's pray that phone rings and rings soon. Rob, I want to go back to you because this is kind of your world too. The TBI, this was a direct quote from a week or so ago. He says that they're all ready to go if they were to get some sort of big tip, and went on to say that a sophisticated mapping system shows all of the ground covered. What is this mapping system that they're talking about that they use here, and how is it used?
I don't know which one. There's a number of ARC systems out there that hopefully you put certain trackers with the different groups that are searching, and those GPS trackers then document where the searchers have been. That then they can overlay what they have and what they've seen. Hopefully overlay it if I think someone had said that they have thermal ability from some of the aircraft, that they can overlay the thermal imagery with what they searched, even though that can change to a point. So I'm not there's a number of different mapping systems out there that they may have used. I think the FBI uses one, and TBI may be using another one, but it's all based on taking the maps and then having the tracker, the searchers have instruments, and it could be that they voluntarily use their phone to be able to do that, so that they can turn their phone in and you get the GPS data off the phone, so that you understand where search groups were.
Shoshana with another good question here. I'll toss this one to Tracy. On the dispatch recording, law enforcement says Sebastian would go back to his old school when he got in trouble. Was the wooded area on the route to the old school searched? My hope is yes. Tracy, do we know?
I do not know where that is within the search. No, I do not know.
Heather, do you happen to know the answer to that?
I believe it was. I'm confirming right now, but yeah, I believe it.
She's got to confirm again.
Yes, it was. And also, to answer the question about the mapping system, it's Sartopo, and that's what they have used, Sartopo, which is the tracking that he's talking about.
Heather, last time you were on, and then we will begin to get final thoughts after this. You had 4 different questions that you said you wanted answers to. Was Sebastian being bullied at school? Do we know the answer to that?
I don't believe he was.
What's that noise?
I did ask that question. It was one of the first questions I asked, and the answer was no. Seth, the father, said he didn't think he was being bullied.
Second question was which online platforms and games did Sebastian have access to? Do you know that answer?
The PlayStation, Switch, and that's all that I know of. I guess Seth did confirm. I don't believe he's on any sort of social media platforms or anything like that. Just the PlayStation and Switch.
This was an important question you had. Had Sebastian ever shown signs of depression or tendencies to possibly unalive himself? Any word on that? Seems like a very happy-go-lucky kid.
No, not that I've been made aware of.
Yeah, and the final question you had was, were there weapons in the home? And were any of those weapons missing? Did you get an answer?
Yes, weapons in the home, but because I haven't had an opportunity to actually sit down and interview the Proudfoots,
yes, Marlene,
I don't know whether any were missing.
The fuck was that?
It was amazing to have this panel back here today, and obviously to have Seth Rogers in the chat. And I'll look for a few more questions You see Tammy Selby here saying prayers for Sebastian and Seth. And again, whatever we can do to help Seth, we are here. And I hope you got that email. If you didn't, everyone let him know. survivingthesurvivor@gmail. This platform is open for him. And we're now 108,000 strong at STS as we continue to grow. So it's a strong platform, and hopefully it will be used for good. One of the people doing good is Tracy Ellis, who works alongside Heather Cohen as part of Justice Warriors and the private investigation agency that Heather runs. Tracy, just your final thoughts tonight and what your plans are regarding this case moving forward.
I normally do not work case in it, but Heather told me I was, so I did. But the fact that he's been gone so long just breaks my heart. That's the scary part to me, is how long he's been gone. To continue to dive into those rabbit holes until I can rule things out. That's how I do it. I go and rule it out. Just like the 3:37, he said 3 hours and 37 minutes. I remember that because when I put something up on my GPS, I remember those numbers exactly. And he's going back and forth to Memphis. So is that why he said that, or is it not? Those are the rabbit holes I have to get the answers to be able to check it off the list.
And hopefully you get those answers soon. I'm just going to pop you back on mute here. You see the emotion pouring in. We love you, Seth. Someone else just had another amazing comment from Brandy. Maybe I missed this too, but did you confirm that the TBI has done forensic testing in the home?
Oh,
Heather,
God, Betty's thing.
What I have been told is that they did thermal imaging to look into the walls. I don't know about luminol and, actually looking for blood. That hasn't been confirmed to me. I'm not sure, but I do know that since they have no evidence that he ever came out of the house, they were doing thermal imaging.
And she does have a work van. She described that on the Nancy Grace interview. Do we know if that work van has been checked?
No, I don't know that the work van has been checked. Okay, so I just got the message. The other PI is listening, so she's sending me messages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she said not to our
She doesn't know
knowledge.
anything.
Okay. That other PI is welcome as well. Questions are flying in here. Heather, can we confirm that there was no scent trail detected of him leaving the house that morning?
I believe there was a scent trail. From what I understand, it stopped at the construction area behind the house where they're building.
Horrible phrase.
Whoa, shit. Isn't that funny? Oops, sorry. Damn it. Where was I? Okay, the scent. When we just watched that video with Seth, he's like, that reporter, Caitlin, whatever her name is, goes, was there a scent of Sebastian? And he was like, not to my knowledge.
Fine in here. Heather, can we confirm that there was no scent trail detected of him leaving the house that morning?
I believe there was a scent trail. From what I understand, it stopped at the construction area behind the house where they're building homes. And it stopped at the edge of a pond.
Okay. And this is a great question from Jimmy McNutty. Do we know when the last time somebody other than the Proudfoot saw Sebastian? That would be real important in putting together a timeline.
Jimmy
obviously.
McNutty.
Do we know that, Heather?
That's kind of like when
that's
they
kind of
were
like
at,
Vinny fucking showcasing.
I can't remember which restaurant it was.
She doesn't remember what restaurant it was, but you're working this case. Shame on you. That's like Vinny Politan highlighting McSpunky in his chat. Spunk. These people all have sexual innuendos. Like, I'm telling you.
Going to be when they were at, I can't remember which restaurant it was off the top of my head, but they had gone to Strike and Bowl, and then they had gone out to eat.
It's not Strike and Bowl. It's Strike and Spare. And it was the Texas Roadhouse. She's being paid, and she doesn't know this.
And then they went home. So it would have been while they were out eating.
It was amazing again to have Heather Cohen on. She is the host of Justice Warriors podcast, featured on the Discovery ID show Secrets, Lies, and Private Eyes. She used to be the Tennessee State coordinator for the Q Center for Missing Persons. And as you heard live on Surviving the Survivor, she's been retained by Seth Rogers, Sebastian's father, to become an active private investigator in this case.
No,
your
she
final
was
thoughts
paid.
here tonight, Heather.
Yeah, actually, I do have something I would like to say. Emotions are really high. Cases like this there's a lot of drama surrounding it. This was my second full day working the case, and a lot of time is wasted.
Katie, this was 7 weeks later, and she's hired onto the case. Or tinfoil. That's not Katie. Sorry. Tinfoil. Come on, Jay. We know that because we've been repeating it for 12 months. This is only weeks after. This is over 2 months after. Sorry.
Just trying to deal with all the drama. And what I want to say is, we just all need to, we're not team Chris and Katie or team Seth. It should be team Sebastian. We should all just set some things aside and work together and find Sebastian.
Well said. Finding Sebastian is the only goal right now. First time for Rob D'Amico. Hope it's the first of many. He's a founder and president and CEO and whatever he wants to be of Sierra One Consulting. As you heard, he served our nation as a Marine and also as an FBI special agent. And all around, you can tell a good guy who does a lot of media, and you can find him on CNN, Fox, MSNBC. How would you put a bow on this for this evening's show, Rob, in terms of where we've come and where we need to go, and obviously keeping Seth Rogers, who's Sebastian's father, in mind as we wrap up here?
I think we still have to go back to the investigators are investigators. They are doing everything they can. I'm hoping they're getting all the resources to do this, and everyone has. They talked about the drama that gets involved in this. You just have to keep that clear head of what are facts, what are your suspicions if you're an investigator, and then if you have a suspicion, how do you get facts to back that up to either prove it or disprove it? So many times these things, they end up like people think, and then you have that big surprise. But going back to, as I said, like, everything's about finding Sebastian and getting to that point where we know what happened. And people think certain things, but you don't have all the facts, you don't have all the evidence. Keeping those blinders open so when that lead comes in that takes you that route, that you're not so close that you ignore it and you follow it to the logical conclusion. And it's just so hard because everyone sees it and you think this is how I would react if it was my child, but you're not there. So you don't really know. And I've seen people react 180 degrees from each other. As a young investigator, you have a tendency to go with that. And as a more seasoned one, you're like, okay, I'm going to investigate, react child, because I follow it to that route that you're not so close, but where we know things about.
Which one?
And then, if you have a suspicion, what are your suspicions?
Oh, Discerning 8. No TBI confirmed, no scent trail at all. Our local sheriff said the same. I work with Seth and led prayer at Vigil. Discerning 8. She's the one. You're right. She's the one that was on Court TV's. She was the moderator. Yeah, that's her. Discerning 8 is her. Good catch. That is her. Let's see if we can go to her YouTube. Discerning 8. Yeah, I don't see her. That is the girl, though. That's the one that... Oh, here she is, right here. Married 27 years. We have one beautiful and anointed child. I am owner founder of nonprofit since 2003, CASA advocate and Amber Alert volunteer. Purchase my book online, Secrets Within. ChristianFaithPublishing.com. Court TV ambassador for live chat. Moderator. Moderated for Court TV for a year and a half, and I still moderate if needed. I am the admin for the Court TV group on X under my legal birth name. Guest appearance on Julie Grant, opening statements on Court TV. I am a moderator on other channels. How did they find her? She has one video. Praying for her safe return. Huh. 1 year ago, 11 months ago, 5 months ago. This is her book out. Check out my new book, Secrets Within. That was a year ago. Woman recounts baby delivery during the tornado of 1988. I'm grateful I can share with others about my essay as a child by multiple family members. My essay at 14 and the ultimate betrayal when my own father tried to essay me at 18 and 21. What do you do when the man who you called a hero comes after your innocence? Whoa, that's deep. But that's her. I work with Seth.
Suspicions, if you're an investigator, and then, if you have a suspicion, how do you get facts to back that up to either prove it or disprove it? So many times these things, they end up like people think, and then you have that big surprise. But going back to, as I said, like, everything's about finding Sebastian and getting to that point where we know what happened. And people think certain things.
I did too.
But you don't have all the facts. You don't have all the evidence. Keeping those blinders open so when that lead comes in, that takes you that route, that you're not so close that you ignore it and you follow it to the logical conclusion. And it's just so hard because everyone sees it and you think this is how I would react if it was my child, but you're not there, so you don't really know. And I've seen people react 180 degrees from each other. As a young investigator, you have a tendency to go with that, and as a more seasoned one, you're like, okay, I'm gonna note that and put it away and keep on my investigation where it leads me.
COE doesn't know we already hit this super chat, but the show today is all about finding this guy, 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, who's on the autism spectrum. Tip line is 1-800-TBI-FIND. If for some reason you don't want to reach out there, you can always email us at survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com, and I'll make sure I get it to Heather Cohen, who's now working in concert with Seth Rogers. It was amazing to have Seth in the chat today. Amazing to have Heather and Tracy, and of course a fellow Jerseyan. Rob, you're right up the road from us, so Steve Cohen and I hopefully will take you to lunch one of these days.
All right, that's it for that one. I can't take them anymore. What about Heather? What's her story? I have a video on that on my main channel. She was on Discovery. She had her own show. All right, so this next one that we're going to watch, we got one more because it's only 10:10. So I've personally never seen this. I don't know if y'all did, but I've personally never watched this, and I want to. I hear that he is an approved Green Team creator, Mr. Peter Hyatt. But this one, Seth joined him and just sat there. This is April 21st. April 21st. Katie Baby says, let's do it. Yeah, he just sits up here, but I'm really interested in what he says because I've never seen it. All right, here we go. This is Peter Hyatt and Seth Rogers. And I want to keep the chat up because I kind of want to keep an eye on it.
Greetings and welcome to this video. I purposed to come on and just talk about a singular theme of what I believe to be the key to finding missing 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, hopefully alive, but as the time has gone on, it was, I think, February 26th. We're reaching 2 months. It becomes much more difficult for anyone to.
Okay, so what's interesting is in the very beginning, Seth is in the chat. I can't see him because he has me blocked. But Peter Hyatt says, Seth, if you'd like to come on, send me an email and I'll send you a link to join. So then he puts his email in here and then Seth comes up. So it wasn't pre-planned.
To hold on to hope that way. While I was getting set for this, Seth reached out and I invited him to come on. So he's here and I'd like to just to address this one particular issue that I think is very important. What prompted me to want to do this, and I'm pleased to have Seth and I recognize that this is a nightmare, that the only way to survive it is perhaps some form of denial as time goes on for him. But it was a recent video that someone sent me of Sebastian's mother that and some of the reactions within social media that were, I think concerning. I'm not sure how distracting they really are.
I'm going to speed them up just a
but there's a lot of information that is listed as breaking and bombshell, and life continues to go on, days continue to pass, and Sebastian is not found or recovered. In a recap for the case, and I won't make you wait as I hand the key, which is still another mystery itself, but a recap is 15-year-old boy with autism was reported missing. I've interviewed a lot of kids over the years through Child Protective Services that had autism. It seemed to me, experientially, that no two were alike.
Hey, Granny.
And I had to adjust in the moment to be able to reach them. And there's some similarities, muted emotions or ill-regulated emotions. And parents know how difficult that is, and have better insight than me going from interview to interview and then moving on. When he went missing, I think the first thing that everyone kind of recognized is there's a step parent involved. And when there's a high needs child, the risk is it's a risk factor. It's something that is taken into consideration because it is really difficult. And parents will tell you how difficult that is, and they need family support, and they need as much help from a community as they can get. I mean, it's really difficult.
He just gets up.
They make mistakes, they lose tempers, they struggle. And to say otherwise just isn't reality.
Oh my God.
And so there's a risk factor. Oh no, number
He's
one
in the
is
fridge.
a high needs child, autism, has gone missing. They're going to have behaviors. Some of them are runaways. Some of them are not. Some of them will bury themselves under blankets, in dark corners. They'll hide. It's all very different, but it's a tragedy that we might see on the television, for example, but not live. So it's right off the bat. And then we had the presence, according to what we saw in the news, the presence of a stepfather. But the first thing, and that's a risk factor, but the first thing that comes up in this was silence. That an investigator will ask, well, who was the last person to see Sebastian alive? Under whose watch did a child go missing? That's just 101, the beginning where things begin. And so the public responded, I think, from at least what I read, they were angry. Why are these people being silent? And it goes against
no, if I speed
especially a
yeah,
mother's
if I speed it up even more, I won't understand what he's saying. I can only listen to shit so fast. My freaking brain can only process shit.
instinct. The father is protect. The mother is nurture. These things come from creation. These are God-given. And for a mother to be silent, there's one of two reasons. Generally, there could be others, but either police have revealed to the mother, there's no point in you calling out for your son. We have evidence of his death. The blood. We have this, that. So she begins to go into the wrestle of denial and grieving and then not believing, and it's a lot of emotions. And then, there could be other reasons, but generally speaking, if a mother has a child went missing on a mother's watch and the mother has nothing to hide, they are out front and they're giving a description of Sebastian, including behaviors, even if it's a style of walking, clothing, everything else, of course, but any type of reaction so people could recognize him. In this sense, she's calling out to him. An interviewer will say, "How are you doing?"
Oh.
And there's a certain...
Who did he hand something to somebody? Who's at his house? Maybe Michaela?
As much help from a community as they can get. I mean, it's really difficult. And they make mistakes, they lose tempers, they struggle. And to say otherwise just isn't reality. And so there's a risk factor. Oh no. Number one is a high needs child, autism, has gone missing. They're going to have behaviors. Some of them are runaways, some of them are not. Some of them will bury themselves under blankets, in dark corners, they'll hide. It's all very different, but it's a tragedy that we might see, but not having knowledge of what happened. Now, when I analyzed that first interview, I said they've coordinated their statements, their story, and mom is withholding information about what happened. And I'd like to just to give you an idea about it. With the social media,
on second thought, I did speed them up more.
And the instant churning of the bombshell and the breaking news, and people have sent me outrageous things, just foolish and outrageous things. And then there's the psychics that I've talked about before, people that call themselves psychics or readers or energy or whatever the wording may be. They're deceivers. And you'll notice if you read enough of them, what they do is they work on the element of vagueness, and they look for those without discernment to bring in. That's all fine and well, and if you'd like to believe that, you can. I don't, and for reasons I can state pretty plainly. But what it comes down to is listening when someone speaks. I had a case years ago where, and this was in correlation with FBI agents working on it, where 2 young women were murdered in a very rural area, and the case went cold. They found the bodies at the car, and the case went cold over a lot of years. And then they found someone online who was writing a lot about the case. And they said, this guy knows things about the case that only we know. And he's writing about it. And we're able to place him in this rural area at the time the 2 young women were murdered. And so they were right. He wrote a great deal of information about it. And I had plenty to analyze. And analyze I did. And there are certain things you look for linguistically that connect someone. And it wasn't there. It wasn't there. Remember, he's going to have, the killer is going to have a very strong opinion, even as he tries to conceal it, which this guy didn't, about the victims. There's a need to justify or a need to conceal, but self-preservation kicks in. Many of you saw that with the McCann's early interviews. This was all about them, not about a supposed missing child. And as it turned out, he didn't do it. And so you say, well, how did he know so many things? Is it some kind of psychic or a power beyond the means of understanding that people have? Is he somehow? No, the guy, he was a true crime fan, and he knew, and in my opinion, he accepted human nature for what it is. He knew. He was a good listener and a good writer, intelligent guy, but he didn't do it. And so that ended that way. In interviewing kids with autism, it's difficult. I've interviewed a lot of adults with adult autism, which can be very, very difficult because there's perseveration. There's
why is he talking about
20 or 30 years ago?
Why is he talking about interviewing kids with autism?
Is really difficult. I did the case some of you recognize of Nathan Carmen, where he went off on a boat ride with his mom, and the boat sank, and his mom didn't get onto the life raft, and he survived and told the story. And I filmed a news program on that saying, he's lying. Very muted emotionally, but he's lying. He's being deceptive. The answer was found in him. Eventually, I worked with the family, and at the time I was doing the news program, they also had someone on saying, oh, you can't analyze the words of someone with that disorder, adult autism or Asperger's. So, yeah, you really can. If they can communicate, you got to listen. And as it turned out, police had known that he had sabotaged the boat, and he was also a suspect in the killing of his grandfather. All this had to do with the inheritance of $10 million. His aunts knew. The family had contacted me, and he was finally arrested, and he committed suicide in jail. So it didn't end well. When Sebastian went missing, the key
April 21st.
to finding him, the key to everything lies with the mother. In order to find him, you have to know under what circumstances he went out that door. You have to know that. She withheld that information, and it was very carefully guarded over by stepfather. So if stepfather wasn't there, then why would he have the same guilt? And this is my theory on it, and then I'll let Seth comment on any of those things. The key to locating either Sebastian's remains, or at least the trail of where it goes, that if someone grabs him and he's still alive, the key to locating him lies with that mother.
Interesting to say, this sweatshirt he's wearing, I looked it up. I know you can't see it real well here, but it's a Navy sweatshirt. It's a Navy sweatshirt.
You have to tell what happened. We have to understand his mindset. We have to understand what he was like at that moment. So here are two factors within that I think are not understood and really important. She holds the key. That account is the only evidence that can be presented to investigators to understand Sebastian's mindset and how bad whatever happened. And here's another one: when it happened. I am convinced it didn't suddenly become a surprise at 6 a.m., not by their language. That interview that was done recently, absolutely perfect, which is a good sign that tells you, nope, it was scripted, it was put together. The key to finding, or at least the proper trail, is understanding what happened that night. And there were two linguistics that were so powerful. Is number one, and I hope this gets through because I'm having trouble, people still write to me about it, is the I love you. Okay. She said, she allegedly quoting him, I love you, mama, and the puppies. And he may have well said that. It may have been okay at that point.
This is before TikTok, Tony.
To present her to the public while her son is missing as a good mother. The presentation, the linguistic presentation of a good mother tells you something went wrong. Something went wrong. And even I in subsequent interviews, I heard them repeat that again. And it was too precise. I said, oh, that's coordinated. So it's alarming. We all say, I love you to our children, and hopefully our children say it to us. It is the need to present that while Sebastian was missing that says, from the subject's point of view, I need to be seen as a good mother.
Oh,
the need
wait.
to be seen or perceived as a good mother tells you there was a deficit. There was something wrong. There was something wrong. So, if I came on here and I said, hey, I just want to tell everybody.
More like Seth needed to be seen as a good father.
There's no excuse for elder abuse. And I go on and on about it. After a while, you're going to say, did you hurt your grandfather? Why the unnecessary moralizing? It's the same theme. It's a type of presentation that is meant for you to consider, oh, that's really nice. He loved her. Therefore, she couldn't have done anything. It's no different than someone calls up on the emergency call and says, I was sleeping and I just woke up and the door is open and my child is missing. So you count off what the priority is. I was sleeping. I just woke up. The door was open before we can get to the child. In other words, I'm going to present myself as innocent, which brings our attention to it. So the I love you under this context is alarming. It's telling you that something went wrong. Then, when someone mentions a phone call in a statement, in this context, that phone call is part of the story. Very big part of the story. Now, stepfather wasn't there, so he could not have caused whatever happened. Then she connected stepfather with a phone call. The other day I was driving, and I just want everyone to know that using a hands-free operation, I spoke to my daughter on the phone for a half an hour. I just love talking to her, and I probably keep her on too long. And this is true, I really do. I like to talk to her. She's very busy with the baby and that sort of thing. You would ask, rightfully, Peter, why are you telling us that? Your child is missing. Why are you? I'm the one connecting it in a really weird way, and you'd be right to ask that question. This is how we learn. We ask questions. So why, in a controlled environment with stepfather bearing down, why the need to tell us you had a 3-hour phone call while Sebastian is missing? I believe her. And I believe it's critical. So he wasn't connected to whatever happens to Sebastian until she connected him with his blessing. There was no refutation. There was no angry response to that. As if you stay on the phone for 3 hours at night when a child goes missing. What that told me was, and this is statement analysis 101. This is not anything of shocking discovery, is that phone call is part of Sebastian's missing. And that's why he's brought into this. She did it. She brought him in. Then stepfather went on and gave more and more interviews. The more interviews he gave, the worse it got. Because you saw what his bellicose language sounded like. What the language of physicality. I mean, he was at the point where, is he starting to threaten people that are asking questions? The key to finding Sebastian, or at least the trail of Sebastian, lies with the mother. And whatever happened to him, I am firm in my belief, he was part of it via the phone call. And why, after being married as many times as he has and being such a man of anger, and his disposition towards Sebastian was frightening. It was frightening to me. I've interviewed him 100 times in that sense, where I've heard the stepfathers and boyfriends run them down and very sometimes subtly blame the victim, that sort of thing. And they did. That's self-defense. That is
the question
preservation.
is, why hasn't Seth chimed in? It's been 21 minutes. He's been sat here for 21 minutes and hasn't chimed in at all. And I think he is on the green team list. I think his name was mentioned.
If Katie wants him found,
I think his hands are in his pockets.
Or alive, she has to give up the same key from the very beginning that remains all this time, 2 months later. Just tell the truth of what happened. But self-preservation is blocking that. And this is why my belief on stepfather's involvement is so important. They discussed it. That was a conversation that she had a need, and he did too, to say took place. Now, of course, he's obviously clever.
People are saying, let Seth talk, please.
Oh, there was a 3-hour conversation the night that 15-year-old with special needs went missing. But I also have the gap of missing information of that evening. Somewhere after dinner, and between 6 a.m., there's missing information means deliberately withheld information. And so
Seth,
that
please
key
talk.
has always been from the moment it happened. You know what? Put aside everything.
Oh my God,
Eileen. At this point, put aside everything. Your child is missing.
Seth, so sorry this is happening. Seth, please talk.
Tell police everything. Okay, there was probably a blow up of some form, or you foolishly locked him out. Face consequences with that, but tell the truth. Because even if he is deceased, he deserves a proper and respectful burial. And even if it was,
oh my God, he's talking about burying him, and Sean doesn't say anything. What?
it was unintended and just foolish anger. Because you've seen the anger of the stepfather. I can imagine what he said on the phone to them in 3 hours, to her in 3 hours. Sebastian deserves better. So, Seth, thank you for joining. That is, I believe, the key, at least to somewhere that investigators need to go back with her, re-interview, passing a polygraph of saying I didn't cause his death and I don't know where he is. This is different. The information has to be learned. These are common interviews that are done. Even as stepfather's ex-wife spoke, in a child protective interview, everything is on the table. Seth, your life is put under a microscope. Everyone's life, where can he be safe?
Lord.
If he's found alive, where can he be safe? So all is fair. All is out there. I don't believe it's anything to do with slinging mud, but to give a portrait of what Sebastian was living under. I mean, is there anyone present that would like to live under stepfather's rule from what we've heard?
No.
From what we've heard out of his own mouth? Is there anyone that would say, hey, sounds like a good parent to me? Would anyone let him babysit your cat? Some comments from you, Seth.
I was pretty much here just to listen to you.
Okay.
You have a lot more experience and stuff, and I appreciate you having me on the panel, and I appreciate your insight. And
Does any of it sound crazy to you?
No.
All right, hold on. Yes. Look at this. This is the Cold Case Foundation with Krish McDonough. This is Peter Hyatt. It doesn't even look like him. Must be an old pic. HyattAnalysis.com. He currently assists law enforcement in investigations, including cold case analysis. He's definitely got the credentials, y'all. But yeah, that's Krish McDonough's group. But does Seth even know that? Deception Detection at FBI National Academy, Quantico, Virginia. He trains the FBI. He trains the FBI, y'all. Look at, here's the classes even. Damn. All right. Anyways, I just wanted to show you guys that.
Married to her for a long time.
Crazy to you?
No. I was married to her for a long time. And you're right on a lot of key factors. You're right on. You know, I believe that she did not open up at the beginning. Reading her body language while I was there. She's not telling everything. I just don't know how long she's going to continue before she decides that she's going to unburden herself.
I hope she breaks. I hope she breaks, because maybe it will give investigators insight into changing course in terms of what they were looking for. Because there are certain things that aren't making sense.
I hope she breaks.
But I heard from you about his experience with bare feet. And we, obviously the Seekers of Shoes has played quite a role in all this. And then I heard stepfather talk a lot, and that's the language of an abuser. And that's when I thought they maybe been trying to teach him some lesson how to be a man and go out there with his bare feet, or something happened that night, an altercation of some form, of which they have coordinated their accounts together since then. And so my hope is that maybe if there is a break in the relationship, maybe the maternal instincts will take over, and she'll say, here's what happened. I don't want to hold this burden any longer, and I didn't intend for it to end as it did, but here's what happened. That's what I'm hoping for.
I can only hope. I still pray that my son's alive.
Yeah.
And the sooner she unburdens herself, the sooner we can either find him, triangulate on a course of action.
I understand that you're trying to work together.
I'm hoping that she'll work together. I'm hoping that both her and Chris will actually start working with me so that I can work with them. I mean, that was pretty much the whole discussion last night before the vigil.
Oh, hold on.
And
Here's the Rise Above says, what's with Seth trashing LE? Failing his poly? Attacking KP and CP for weeks? Telling the world to F off? Seems emotionally unstable. Stay off social media.
I do hope that they actually work with me.
Wait a minute. We're going to put him on normal speed. Sorry, guys.
I do hope that they actually work with me.
If my child goes missing, my first call is to police. My second call is to bio father. A great comment. I mean, it's just so common, such a natural reaction. Seth came to listen.
Running shoes?
What he said.
Really? Someone named Running Shoes? I literally cannot.
And he is in need of working with others, so otherwise I'd be asking a lot of questions.
Puff, puff, pass.
Though I don't think you have many answers, Seth.
I don't. I haven't had a lot of. I've had a lot of questions since this has started.
Were you there that night?
The answers.
Were you there that night?
I wasn't.
Who was there that night?
Katie and Sebastian.
Yeah, and that's where the key lies, is in a mother that was there telling the truth. Jason's an analyst. Thinks she should be interviewed more without Chris around. Yeah, certainly I agree. There should be a.
Jason's an analyst. I think she should be interviewed more without Chris around. This is Jason, the analyst.
I think if they know anyone that she is close to, that she would confide in, in terms of criminality, there may not be there. It may not be considered criminal behavior in the sense that there was a fight or something took place. Without Sebastian to testify, there's probably not going to be any consequences. My hope is just come out and talk. Come out and talk to the investigators. And as Jason said, alone, and come clean with it. She needs to come clean with it. 2 months now.
He doesn't say shit.
No one, I think, can argue with Annie P. She'll never talk with Chris in her ear. No, I mean, he's obviously concerned about the connection to his other case going on. He's concerned about his reputation, and he's willing to really go after people who don't believe him with anger and rage. So if you've seen that, you can probably consider what it was like for Sebastian with his difficulties, living under someone with that type of anger.
Why is he silent?
Are you working now, Seth?
No, I haven't gone back to work. It's really hard to think about anything but my son.
Yeah. It's understood. Here's a couple more comments, and if you're lying, you're not cooperating. Exactly. You know, there's a time to come clean, and there's a time to talk about what happened. There may be some little detail that they don't, Katie doesn't even recognize if she unburdens herself. That's like, oh, we've got to go this direction or that direction. Because I think that either at this point, 2 months, it's either he befell trouble in a natural sense of water, or ditches, that sort of thing, or he was taken after being put out.
Scotty Dog says, I heard a 3-hour call with Chris and Tara Lynn. He never said one bad thing or slung mud at Seth. What kind of relationship does Katie have with her parents and siblings? How is attacking helping? Go Kim Holmes.
Out of that house. Anything that when someone tells the truth, and I don't have the answer, but that is the key. When someone tells the truth, who was present, that one person, when they tell the truth, sometimes they give out a detail that seems so insignificant, and it proves to be the outworking. With the Nathan Carmen case, there was just a minor detail of taking a wrench and, just tightening something on the boat or loosening it. So there would be trouble, sabotaging it. But some minor detail like that can lead investigators to go at least a direction, which seems to be very difficult. So that was a good comment. See some of the others. In the interview, I saw the feeling of guilt in the face of the mom. Kirsten, was that recently, the recent interview? I thought that she, besides that, I didn't like the language in the sense that it was very tight. And it appeared to me that, wow, she's learned the lesson of social media.
Oh, shit.
But I also...
Sweating Bullet says, is Seth on meds right now? And then someone says, sweating bullets, CP, is that you?
Thought I saw a little bit of guilt in that face as well. Like, maybe not guilt, but regret. Regret. Time to tell the truth. And Seth, if you've come just to listen, and I appreciate coming on, I'm not throwing the questions out that coming into the chat. Just some of the things. The most recent interview, KP looks like she's reading off the script. I agree. That was my opinion. Which means, if I'm her and I'm getting the scripted message, one of the things about that was it was clear to me that she had the questions beforehand, and her answers were, came very easily that way. But it also showed me she's intelligent. She learned from social media. Remember that time that one of the interviews where he allowed her to actually speak and answer a couple of questions?
Hey, Keto Kim.
I think the drama that goes on behind the scenes, that people are upset, and rightfully so. And I think that everyone wants Sebastian found. Everybody wants him to be alive. But, we're not living the nightmare. Any other questions? So that would be something that hopefully the initial investigation knows about, are the clothes that Sebastian wore to the restaurant that's still in the house. Hopefully they've collected enough evidence. I don't think that needs comment. It's just our hope that the investigation was going well.
Borrowed Angel. Smiley sent us here. Good morning, everyone.
Well, and probably some other questions that are, these are good questions.
Sam R., this is starting to get confusing.
Was he wearing shoes when he took out the trash? These are good questions. But my hope is that we don't need to toss them around, because investigators would have asked these things. And if it was missed early on, they can go back. I don't know I haven't worked with that department. I don't know that I've had much contact over the years, anything with Tennessee, but some places that lack experience, like a smaller town, a small location, it's kind of a nice thing that they don't have that going on. But you do have to call in help from others.
I hate to ask this, but did Katie drink in the evenings? Just wondering. Noticed a bar behind her at home in one interview.
Here's one question I would like to answer.
Oh,
it scrolls by pretty quickly.
Rise above. Go back to work, Seth, and let Ellie do their job. You have made it a circus by spending 3 weeks trashing L.E. and the other parents involved.
Do my best that I try to get that, but someone asked about the statement of, when they're finally reaching out to him, you're not in trouble. That was a great question. I'm sorry I can't post it there. That shows someone's listening, and there was trouble. Otherwise, it wouldn't be said. So very good observation. Again, I think
where are
I've
the
said this
boots you bought him?
And I'll do it again here. If you get a chance, there's a video on YouTube of one of the most brilliant minds I've ever had the pleasure of dealing with, Frank Marsh. He was an instructor at the FBI National Academy and military background. And he has a video, it's old. It's called The Power of Questions. And it's something that, it's not just for investigators, it really is for life itself. And I can't recommend it more highly. It's impacted me greatly. He had...
Ooh, Coca-Cola says, Please tell Seth I really hope Nina is being investigated because she is the only person to benefit. She thought she was going to lose her child again in court.
Invited me to the FBI National Academy a number of years ago, where I was able to bring my daughter, my wife Heather, my daughter Christina, and especially during lunch when she had a full chance to talk with him, she was so impressed that it was life-changing how powerful questions are. And that's what we want to ask. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Sweating bullets. Nothing happened in the house. They would have found evidence of that.
And he's a brilliant mind, and it is the most powerful element within analysis, criminal analysis.
I don't even know what he's talking about.
Everything is to ask questions, and that's some of the basic questions. Is why do you need to tell me you're a good mom if nothing bad happened?
I know you're not a behavioral analysis, but do you think she'll die on that pedestal?
What?
I don't know her enough, Seth, to give an answer. I agree with some of the people commenting that I do think that relationship is going to break. And that's his pattern anyway.
April 17th.
You might have a better insight into that if he's not around. That would be my hope. You know, if any parent can lose their temper, any parent can. I've done shaken baby cases where they've been prosecuted. And generally speaking, no one that I ever interviewed woke up and say, oh, today I'm going to shake my baby. They lose it in a moment, and the life is forever altered, and the child is damaged or deceased. And it's a horrible, horrible thing. I'm hoping that they will split and that she will want to clear her conscience. And even if it's that foolish, well, we decided to, not let this behavior go on any longer, so I put him outside, and he has to get over, I wanted him to get over his fear without the shoes on, or something like that. Something went wrong, and someone just commented, something snapped. Something snapped. And when you hear this guy's anger and the language of abuse and the language of domestic violence, it's like, what did your son live under? It's hard enough being a 15-year-old without any issues like autism. What did he live under?
He's got his arms crossed now.
Here's something of interest, probably down the road, but yeah, civil litigations bring depositions.
This aged well. Civil litigations bring depositions. Oh, they sure do. So he's filed a civil litigation against Granny and Barbecue. Yikes. It is very weird. He's just rambling and rambling. I don't know what he's so closed off about.
Questions are asked. Questions are asked. And even when someone...
Sweating Bullets says, I would be angry too with fools like you talking about me.
Conducts a question, that gives us information. So a good comment, that girl. Are you being bothered at all by people claiming to have all sorts of psychic powers and magical insight?
I mean, people try that stuff. I got so tired of people stating that my son was dead. I mean, that it was just... They don't have any clue what that stuff does to a person's faith and hope that their child is alive. I refuse to listen to that stuff anymore. As soon as somebody says, hey, there's this psychic over, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. I have to have faith that my son is alive. And I have to have faith that she'll tell me.
Yeah. I do terribly regret giving bold opinions on this I don't wish to add to your pain any longer. With the world of psychics and whatever wording anyone wants to use, it's fine. There's been some real damage done at times with parents who were vulnerable. I can't imagine being any more vulnerable than not being able to find my son and being able to hear someone. It would be just too much. Too much. That's why we call it predatory.
The best thing that I can say is I don't have social media. All I have is YouTube. And when I
don't have social
literally
media.
logged into YouTube to listen to some cryptid stories so I could lay down and try to sleep for about another hour.
Oh my God, he's telling Peter Hyatt that he opened up YouTube to listen to creepy pastas. I know. I don't have Facebook, so I'm not on there.
When I literally logged into YouTube to listen to some cryptid stories so I could lay down and try to sleep for about
Cryptid
another
stories.
hour or
Thank
two.
you, Canvas.
I saw yours was getting ready to come on, and I listened to all yours.
So
I
he
enjoy
logged
that.
in. I enjoy that. Listen. He said he logged into YouTube to watch cryptic stories so he could go to sleep. This is like early in the morning. This is like 8 in the morning. And he says, I saw you on. Welcome to Cooterville. Come on in and close your legs, new Cooters.
To YouTube to listen to some cryptid stories so I could lay down and try to sleep for about another hour or two. I saw yours was getting ready to come on, and I listened to all yours. I enjoy that. I enjoy listening to you, whether you bring good information or bad information. Emotionally, I still like to listen to you. You're an expert. I consider you an expert. You are an expert.
Welcome to Cooterville, Mrs. Upper Thigh.
I hope that we get good news. I think each day means it's more difficult to have hope. I pray for all of you, including not just Sebastian and you, but for mother and stepfather. I just like.
You mean welcome, Full Deck? Or thank you, Full Deck, for gifting a membership. Marlene, welcome to Cooterville. Come on in and close your legs. Where he says, I like that, whether you bring good information or yours. So he says, I don't have social media, but I logged into YouTube and I saw you.
The best thing that I can say is I don't have social media.
The best thing that I can say is I don't have social media.
All I have is YouTube. And when I literally logged into YouTube to listen to some cryptid stories so I could lay down and try to sleep for about another hour or two, I saw yours was getting ready to come on, and I listened to all yours. I enjoy that. I enjoy listening to you, whether you bring good information or bad information. Emotionally, I still like to listen to you. You're an expert. I consider you an expert. You are an expert.
Oh, thanks for validating.
I hope that we get good news. I think each day means it's more difficult to have hope.
Great town, dude.
I pray for all of you, including not just Sebastian and you, but for mother and stepfather. I just like the truth to come out, and if there's anything within that truth that can bring this along, that's where it's going to lie. That person of whom Sebastian was with, and there was no one else in the house, that person knows more than they've let on. And Katie, if you're listening, God forgive you, but come forward and talk.
God forgive you.
Talk for Sebastian's sake, and really for your own as well. Well, thank you for coming on, Seth.
Thank you for having me, sir.
continue to press on the best you can.
Sir.
And, I know it's got to be tough, especially not getting a paycheck from work. And I think at this point, that probably is not big on your list of priorities. But people that sometimes are able to work, at least they can be distracted, at least get a respite for a few minutes on that type of pain that you experience. It's rough. So thank you for coming on, and we continue to hope against hope.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, everybody.
I still don't understand this. TikTok is officially gone now? Oh, no. I bet there's a lot of people crying. It was very weird. Why did he just sit there? Like, what was that? I still don't get it. I still don't get it. Wait, hold on. Hold on, guys.
Greetings and welcome to this video.
Okay, let's see if he's done anything. He hasn't done anything videos in 7 months. Let's see, these were all live streams. I always thought that was a weird fucking thumbnail for him to put up there. This young girl like leaning over with her boobs. I never understood that. And it's called Prosecuting Missing Persons Cases. Maybe that's a missing person. I don't know. I've never really listened to all of his because I have a hard time following him. But this is a Q&A from 10 months ago, missing Sebastian Rogers. Let's see what this is
Welcome,
about.
everyone. Thank you for joining. I wanted to give an update on missing 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers. He's someone with autism, and there's been some, I think, a significant development that we'll start with, and then do a little bit on behavioral analysis, take your questions, although I don't think I possess many answers, but also your theories on what may have happened to him. So let me begin by this short update from this morning, where the biological father has spoken out. And I think once the floodgates open, we're going to hear a lot more from him.
Yeah, I know he's got cancer, but what does that have to do with his analysis?
So if you want to follow that on the news, but here that is, and please let me know if you can hear it well as it starts to play.
I just want to see what this one's about, guys. I'm going to scroll through it. I've never seen these.
And I'm having trouble getting it on there. Okay. If not, I'll be able to, it was short, so I'll be able to share with you what, some technical difficulties here, I guess. And one of the things that was concerning to me was their emphasis. Let me see if I can improve the volume here. That may help. Can be indicative to the contrary, that the need to portray something as normal often indicates in context that something not normal took place. For example, if I asked you about how you were last Thursday, I don't know, it was a normal day. Okay, there's no context for you to go to attempt to persuade me of anything. When someone uses the word normal about a day when the child went missing, this is a hyper hormonal response. This is something that, in other words, it's going to be etched in your memory. The last words, the last everything that was said, the last thing that was eaten.
Okay, and Katie did all that, right?
And whatever enters the language is going to be important for us. So when the mother portrayed it as normal, my first thought was, uh-oh, what happened? What happened between mother and son? If indeed stepfather was away as we think he may have been. Also, the timeline can shift either way. I don't know about that as well. That's more to be done. But the need to portray something so extraordinary as normal. And, you know, if she was asked, was that a normal day? That might be different because now you're influenced by the interviewer's questions, and interviewers need to be careful. Others have commented on the theatrics, and it just gets in the way of information. And I'm not sure if it's in other cultures like it is in ours, but in ours, even crime news broadcasters really turn on the theatrics. And I think that theatrics should be safe for the theater, not for news stories like this. You know, I understand they have to reach an audience, but at times it will influence the subject and how to respond. So the need to portray it as a normal day, especially given the extreme context here, is persuasive that it wasn't normal. And the mother wasn't asked, hey, so what was the last thing that Sebastian said to you? Instead, she offered, good night, Mom, I love you. And those of you that have formal training may recognize that.
Oh, it's this red flag because she said, I love you. I can't get into him, man. I've tried. I know he's got the credentials, but.
In terms of the job, I think they'll cross their T's and dot their I's quite well. I'm sorry I can't get to all the questions. They run by pretty quickly. Stepdad said I'm a black and white type of guy. It did concern me. A couple things that were similar to that as well, meaning that children exist oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes in a gray world. You're not allowed to walk in the street. That's black and white. It's just a line of demarcation. As a 3-year-old, you're not going out by yourself. It's your will against mine, and you're going to lose. You're not going out there. However, that shiny red ball that's in the street, I'm going to go get that and bring it out to the safe place behind a fence. In other words, we move into gray, understanding. When someone is very much militaristic and not able to use discernment, and this can be an emotional thing, I don't think it bodes well for an autistic child, the lack of flexibility. So yes, Linda, that did concern me.
Lack of flexibility? I think you have to be fucking on a schedule, right?
Rigid, overly strict, better descriptions in mind.
Me too,
may not be the best person to deal with kids.
Hey, Bubby.
And I understand regarding the restrictions on a phone, because someone that vulnerable could fall prey to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of, I don't play video games, but they're interactive and live with other people. It was his need to brag that while his son was missing, while he's been silent for a week. That's what concerned me. I saw some people with the 10-year-old murder here in Maine coming out against homeschooling. It's like all these people that are loving their children and providing education and trying to keep away from some of the cultural influence that's coming. Let's punish all them because one person used that as an excuse to conceal the victim from the eyes of others. And that's how a mob reacts. It's very sad. That's just not critical thinking. Any other questions or any other comments you wish to? I'm going to begin to close here. Yeah, and I certainly understand the idea of community. And we see that, I think, across at least our country here with the homeschoolers. They seem to be always involved in several layers of communities, co-op,
This is March.
teaching.
This is March 11th. So when was his first video on Sebastian? Missing autistic teen, right here.
Greetings, everyone. Please let me know if you can hear me well enough with a new microphone.
March
hopefully improving
8th.
things a bit here.
March
as well as see a
8th.
screen that has Sebastian Rogers' picture there. I want to make sure that's going through. Okay, so it looks like it is going through. Good. What I'd like to do is first play the short interview. This is going to be about a 15-year-old autistic boy who has gone missing. I believe it was February 26th, the morning of the 26th, when he was reported missing by his mother. Just be forewarned, the video is highly edited from the media, and I'll have some comments on that as well. But let me see if I can show the video first, and you'll be able to hear things for yourself.
Let's hope
here.
he can get it to work this time.
Describe to us exclusively how they feel on day 8 of their son's disappearance. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Marius Pate.
And I'm Lauren Lowry. Sebastian Rogers is 15. He was last seen by his parents on February 25th in Hendersonville. Sebastian has autism, and he's gone without his medication this whole time. And since then, authorities have searched by air, by foot, and on horseback.
Helicopters, drones, and dive teams have also been brought in to try to find him. Today, his parents spoke exclusively to our Holly Thompson.
She's live tonight in Sumner County. Holly, I imagine it was quite an emotional interview. certainly was. It is hard for any of us to imagine the emotions that this family is going through right now. But we know one thing is certain. They remain positive. They are holding on to hope that their son Sebastian will return home safely. Can you walk us through what you're thinking right now?
I just want my baby to be okay. I don't know where he's at.
Mom Katie broke down several times in our interview, but says her hope is strong that her son Sebastian will be found safe and return home.
He's going to walk through that door, and the street will be flooded again with family and relatives all waiting to hug and love him. And
Stepdad Chris says it's been an emotional roller coaster that all started Sunday night, February 25th.
Pretty normal. He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed.
He did.
He did. He said, "Good night, Mom. I love you."
Katie says she went to wake up Sebastian around 6 a.m. Monday for school, and he was gone. Within minutes, Katie says she was on the phone with Chris, who was working out of town, and they quickly called 911.
And he's not a runner. He's never run away before. I don't know why. I don't know why he walked out that door.
I mean, he's a good kid. He's not a mischievous child by any means.
Katie and Chris say Sebastian is not on social media. While he loves to play Minecraft, they tell me he does not have any online capabilities. I asked if there was any reason he might want to leave.
We've been combing over that day and even the weeks before he left, and I hadn't been able to figure it out. He's that morning he was laughing, he was joking.
It's as if Sebastian vanished. No sign of him on any video throughout the community. Thousands of miles logged by law enforcement, canines, helicopters, even dive teams, and no sign of him. Chris and Katie tell me they've been harassed, people pointing fingers at them.
You're not in this situation. You don't quite understand. I wish people would step back, take a different wide open view, and not assume what they know. It's just better to stick to the facts.
Are you both in the clear?
I can tell you that Mom, myself, and the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies across the board. We have anything that they've wanted, we have provided.
What do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
That we love you so much, and we want you to come home, and you're not in trouble.
Now, Katie did tell me that even though Sebastian does have autism, he is a smart teenager. He is highly functional. They say if you see him, say his name, say Sebastian, and he'll respond. He'll at least acknowledge you. And I can tell you, this is my home. This is my community. And the people here are strong. They say they will continue to search. They will continue to hope and continue to pray for Sebastian's safe return. And by the way, you can watch my full exclusive interview with Sebastian's parents on our WSMV4 app. Live here in Hendersonville, Holly Thompson, WSMV4. Back.
Okay, so that was the news blurb. You may have noticed the interviewer, I think, was somewhat theatrical, giving a perhaps even an exaggerated facial appearance that she's concerned, unnecessary moralizing. It doesn't help facilitate the flow of information in an interview. I recognize that it's on television and ratings matter and audiences matter, that sort of thing. But in terms of gathering information, that itself, even that type of demeanor can influence answers. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that. And then
Where
I'd like
was
to also
that
contrast
morning?
that with
I didn't catch that. Where was that morning in the interview? I don't know where that was.
And the father have worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies across the board. We have anything that they've wanted, we have provided.
What do you want to say to Sebastian? What do you want him to hear from you right now?
That we love you so much, and we want you to come home, and you're not in trouble.
Now, Katie did tell me that even though Sebastian does have autism, he is a smart teenager. He is highly functional. They say if you see him, say his name, say Sebastian, and he'll respond. He'll at least acknowledge you. And I can tell you, this is my home. This is my community. And the people here are strong. They say they will continue to search. They will continue to hope and continue to pray for Sebastian's safe return. And by the way, you can watch my full exclusive interview with Sebastian's parents on our WSMV4 app. Live here in Hendersonville, Holly Thompson, WSMV4. Back.
Okay, so that was the news blurb. You may have noticed the interviewer, I think, was somewhat theatrical, giving a perhaps even an exaggerated facial appearance that she's concerned, unnecessary moralizing. It doesn't help facilitate the flow of information in an interview. I recognize that it's on television and ratings matter and audiences matter, that sort of thing. But in terms of gathering information, that itself, even that type of demeanor can influence answers. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that. And then I'd like to also contrast that with the, I'm going to call him bio-dad, the biological father, because the one we just saw now was a stepfather. And some of the things that I think were a bit concerning from what the parents, the mother and the stepfather had to say there. So it's very edited, so we have to be very careful, and we have to consider the context. And the context starts off with, we have a teenager. And that is, of course, always an area that can, or at least we should explore for the possibility of arguing, temperamental, highly or acute hormonal responses. But in this case, we're looking at someone with autism. Kids with autism do run away. Kids with autism are drawn to water. And so those are things that are concerning. And I'd like to look at some of those external factors before we get to the language. So that's a concern. And the mother described how he will respond to his name. So that suggests that the autism is more than mild. When we look at a missing child with special needs.
Wait, what are you talking about, Marlena? What's clipped and what's faked? I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love this guy. I can't get down with him.
In spite of age 15, I don't know if he's capable of self-protection. I don't know if he's capable of obtaining food
are
for
you
himself,
talking
surviving
about the interview he played?
out there, that sort of thing. I don't have the answer to that. I don't know much about him. What I do know in behavioral analysis is that this heavy responsibility of having a...
He says behavioral analysis. Remember, Seth said, I know you're not a behavior analyst.
Special needs child may increase the odds of some form of abuse and neglect. It just, and this is not about this family, this is in general itself, because parents get worn down. They can lose their temper once and something can go wrong.
I'm sorry, but Katie did not look worn down.
They have a difficult time
at the
getting
Roadhouse.
grace for themselves to recover.
Katie did not look worn down at the Roadhouse to me. Yeah, we can't get TikTok no more. It's gone. It's gone.
And none of this I know regarding this family, what it's like. All I know is from a few short quotes and a little bit of behavioral analysis. So number one, where there is a high need child, an acute need child, there's always a risk. And that can be from whoever's watching him or her at that time. Anyone can lose their temper. It takes a really special person to, I think, navigate some of these difficulties. Secondly, just going by statistics, stepfathers get looked at. Stepfathers and boyfriends are often found to be more abusive in these type of cases. I don't know if that's the case here or not, but just one of those things that's going to factor in. It's like trying to think of a 15-year-old who is missing without thinking of the factors around the 15-year-old. It's difficult to do. And I'm not sure about the wisdom of it. We need to listen, and we need
I
to
agree
pay
with
attention
that,
to the
Granny.
context. The next area of behavioral analysis is this particular station.
Self-proclaimed, I don't know.
Said that this is an exclusive, and the quote to introduce it, the story was, the mother or the family breaks their silence. So one of the questions I have is, why would you be silent? If your high needs or special needs child, 15, is missing, how is it that you're able to quench the instinct to call out to that child?
I do think it's weird that it took him 8 days to do official interviews. I've always thought that was weird too.
What appears to be about a week or so. Why would you need to break your silence? Why would you be silent? Why would you not immediately call out to that child? Interestingly, I saw the bio father being interviewed. He was speaking to his son and giving him advice about how to run away. That's expected. That's a norm. But this delay concerns me, and I'd like to look at a couple of the statements that they said. So the bio dad spoke and said he was on a roller coaster. When you hear roller coaster, it means up and down, up and down. Perfect time for a interview to ask about that. What are the lows like for you? What are the times that are up like for you? But no such question was asked. He talked about coming through the door, which I was just a little concerned about in terms of how that plays out within analysis. I've heard him in other clips, and one of the ones I had cited, I believe I cited through social media, was with drop pronouns. I'll pull that up for you. The drop pronouns are always a concern, and here's what he said. So Dad said,
they did, Clue.
If someone has you, run. Call 911, grab to anybody. That was good. That is something that's expected. The $1 million question, if you saw that quote, the $1 million question that he asked,
and many other,
was fascinating to me.
Helpless and hopeless, and many other emotions all in one, and it's a never-ending roller coaster. It doesn't stop. It won't stop until he walks through the door.
My son doesn't run. He's not a runner.
Okay, I think it's a different clip then. I apologize. $1 million question is, where are you? That's the question that I would ask and reach out to him. That would work well.
So Chris and Katie spoke first.
Stepfather and the mother have both insisted that he left on his own accord. That and you say, well, how do you know that? As a parent, if you wake up and find your child missing, your mind is going to race in every direction. You're used to caring for the child, now suddenly you can't. And so instinct is going to be engaged. Would you assume that the child ran away? Well, if the child has a history of running away, yeah, you probably would go there. But according to the mother, there was no history of that. And the stepfather, in dropping pronouns, he went right to the point. In fact, I will read that. He went right to the point of the door. And that was concerning. And in the point of the door, and saying he walked out, or actually said walked out, would you know for sure that he wasn't taken? That he wasn't kidnapped?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Or that he wasn't persuaded? You know, would you right go on his own? That no one was influencing him, that sort of thing? And he was asked about that. And he said, because we found the door locked in the morning. So that inclusion is a little bit concerning to me regarding how that is stated and how that's worded. And then there was another statement. The mom was asked about that day. And she actually said two things about that in the interview. You caught that. There's several things, but about that day. It was pretty normal day. So there's nothing normal about a day when a child goes missing. There's nothing normal. What is concerning about that is that there is
exactly
a need
agent
to portray something as normal. And there's a few other things that she said there that are very concerning. Things that we cover routinely, unfortunately, in these cases. So normal, portrayal of something as normal. It should put investigators on alert that what has taken place is anything but normal. The need to normalize something that is just way out there. I once had a case many years ago where a man was accused of sexually assaulting an adult with developmental disabilities.
Oh my God.
And my job was to investigate that. The referent said to me, you know, before you get out there and investigate this, I need you to know that the guy that's being accused is a great guy. He's a retired medical doctor. He's in his 80s. He has a long white beard. He plays Santa everyone loves him. He's a great guy. And I said, okay, thank you.
What's the point with this?
And as was my habit for these things, when I do an investigation, I don't let anyone set up an appointment for me, or at least I didn't. I do it myself. I make that call. It's very important because the first thing that someone hears is going to be important. Now, this man that I was calling to set up an appointment to speak is not supposed to know about the allegation. He shouldn't know. And that's very important. I want the cleanest response. I want him to say, I didn't molest so-and-so. I didn't touch him. When I introduced myself and told him where I was from, before I could get another word out, he yelled at me and he said, I am a normal man. The word normal, when someone uses that way, they're telling you something. They've either been considered abnormal by others, or they may consider themselves abnormal.
Come on.
It's the need to commit that. And I knew right that the first sentence I knew.
I cannot get down with this.
The victim in this case had gone weeks without showering. He was more outgoing, and then suddenly he wasn't. You know, he was suffering and will suffer. So I knew that this man was concerned about being portrayed as abnormal, and he was giving that away. So to understand that, what I sometimes do in seminars, I'll say, okay, children, let's gather.
Dude, I'm sorry, I can't, but I want to show you that he is. Watch this. Peter, you said he reminds you of Chris McDonough. Cold Case Foundation. Right here, Peter Hyatt, LSW. What is that? LSW. Licensed social worker? So the dude's a social worker? Formerly he's a former investigator for DHHS in Maine. He started out as a CPS worker, as a social worker. Yeah, licensed social worker. He started out as an investigator for DHHS in Maine. He did that for 10 years. He authored the state's agency investigator training manual and provided training. He has been interviewed extensively on radio and television, including Crime Watch Daily. Taken Too Soon, the Caitlin Markham story or documentary, and the disappearance of Madeline McCann. Right, so he comes from the abuse side of things. He holds law enforcement seminars, including high-intensity drug trafficking area, as well as the author of complete statement analysis and advanced analysis courses with students from the U.S., Canada, Europe, South Africa, Russia, New Zealand, and Australia. Well, guess what? I can say I have audience in all these countries too. He has guest lectured at the FBI National Academy. Guest lectured. And as well as spoken to business conventions on detecting deception and linguistic profiling and employment analysis. He currently assists law enforcement investigations, including cold case analysis. He leads an international team of experts and monthly analysis training, including requests from various law enforcement agencies. This is the freaking Cold Case Foundation team. Foundation board, Greg Cooper. Okay, yeah, he's a social worker. Greg Cooper is the guy that does the behavior panel. He's the board chairman. Nate Sumbot is a member. Dean Jackson, member. Angie Morris, member. Investigative team. Look at all these people. Arson investigative consultants, crime analysis consultants. Look at all these names. The fuck? Isn't that wild? So he's a self-proclaimed look at all of this. Chris McDonough, law enforcement relations. He spent 25 years with the Oceanside Police Department. Huh. He is a contributing author to the book Who Killed Stephanie Crow. That's where he did that. Wow. He's on the executive support team. Triage team. Brian Crump. Huh. This is weird. Does anyone else think this is weird, or is it just me? Forensic team. Forensic psychology. Dr. Gary Bricato's at the top. I can't. Forensic artists. And it's, look at how they spelled it. Forensic art. They didn't even spell it right. Artists. Forensic consultants. What is all this? Like, what do they actually do? Our network? Testimonials? Utah Attorney General? Cold Case Unit Regional Agent in Charge? What does that even mean? JH. Cold Case Unit Regional Agent in Charge of what? Polk County, Oregon Sheriff's Department. And then Highland, Indiana Police Department, which is spelled Highland wrong. Huh. 4 testimonials. 4. The Vault. Submit your tip to the vault. What the fuck? Oh God, look at all the icons. Partners, the interview room. Something cold case, search and recovery, MVAC, hunt a killer, which is a game. Hess Travel, Empower, Geotime, AJJ Entertainment, Prevention for the Protection of Violence. What's this? Hole in the Woods. Somebody went missing and was killed and raped. Okay. What's this? Shake and bait. Look at this page doesn't seem to exist. Geotime? See you, Miss Upper Thigh. Look at bad link. AJJ Entertainment. Bad link. Empower Real Estate. MVAC is a DNA collection device invented by a friend of Chris M. Look at this is another bad site. Hess Travel. MVAC Systems. Huh. Bringing answers to families who have waited too long. This is a 501c3 canine search and recovery team. Look at the bones. Casey Robinson. I'm just looking at all this shit. I'm just curious. Partnerships. It's just interesting. This AJJ Entertainment used to go to, can't remember. I think it was hooked to Adventures with Purpose or something. At least that one has a working website. Bella, don't start barking. But anyway, that's that. Have you guys had enough tonight? Detroit lost. Boo. Boo. Hunt a Killer. Yeah, I did a promo for that years ago. Why is BJ's chatting here? I didn't know they were. Everybody's welcome here. Funding and resources. We strategically partner with law enforcement, with police departments nationwide to effort and assist in closing cold cases with a focus on unsolved homicides, missing persons, unidentified bodies, and sex assault with serial characteristics. All funding requests will be considered based upon current availability. Consulting for rape essay with serial characteristics. I don't know. Victimology. Media inquiries. Contact our creative director, AJ Jackson. Cold Case Live. Get access to all of our podcasts, articles, web series, blogs, and classes today. When you join as one of our founders, you will lock in the low price of $2.99 a month. The hell? What's Cold Case Live? Wow, this seems like a gimmick. Cold Case Live is a project of the Cold Case Foundation based in Utah and founded by former FBI profilers Greg Cooper and John Douglas. So they have subscriptions. There you go. That's them. Broken Roads book. What the fuck is that? The case of Robert Ben Rhodes is the most disturbing you'll encounter. The truck stop killer. PayPal, blah, blah, blah. Anyways. Can you please tap the like? Thank you, UA. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm not a fan of that Peter Hyatt. I just can't. I wish I could, but I can't. I know a lot of people like him and respect his opinion. But I respect Pat Brown more than him, honestly. Is Queen live? Let's all go over to Queen's. Sweet. We're just going, bouncing from one to another. Granny's live in the morning. Let's hop over to Queens, hop over to GW in the morning. Thanks for joining, guys. Keep your legs closed and keep reaching for the stars. I'll see ya.
I might go forever, go for eons. Friend like you don't be on. Pull off in the Tesla, Elon. When I was a kid, I was a phenom. When I was a kid, I was a beast. I pull up, then I be gone. See ya. See ya. See ya. Be gone. See ya. See ya. See ya. Be gone. Thumbing through the blues, no BB King. Back to back shit, so just looking for the ring. I wake up, I brush my teeth. I wake up, I bought 2, 3. I wake up like, ooh, that's me. Brand new car, like, ooh, that's clean. Tracksuit pants, don't wear no jeans. I'm athletic, count up 100 like calisthenics. Talking about a bag, you got bad credit. New MX, we don't use debit. Calling, brand new deals, keep calling. Tell them bring them through, need all them. For a whole kid, still ballin'. I just get up and I zoom. I don't need proof, I'm the proof. I be way up at the moon. I'm looking down on you. Hey nigga, I'm proud of you. Stack money a mile or 2. I might go forever, go for eons. Friend like you don't be on. Pull off in the Tesla, Elon. When I was a kid, I was a phenom. When I was a kid, I was a beast. I pull up, then I be gone. See ya. See ya, see ya, be gone. See ya, see ya, see ya, be gone. I'm on a run and you better know. I'm in the know and you better know. I'm here to stay and you better know. I'm at the table, I never fold. I'm at the table, I'm up again. I'm at the table, I'm here to win. Don't cook a record, don't come again. Please, I just need what I need. I collect for my seeds. Would've thought my name Tree. I pick up then I leave. In my pocket I be. I don't like to be seen. I just get up and I zoom. I don't need proof on the proof. I be way up with the moon. I'm looking down on you. Hey nigga, I'm proud of you. Stack money a mile or 2. I might go forever, go for eons. Friend like you don't be on. Pull off in the Tesla, Elon. When I was a kid, I was a phenom. When I was a kid, I was a beast. I pull up, then I be gone. See ya. See ya. See ya. Be gone. See ya. See ya. See ya. Be gone.
Jennifer loves horses. Hi, Jennifer.